still bummed his hand surgery ruined the annual Father's Day golf day with his dad. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but get on. Mandate, get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. I love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Paul Bryan. Don't worry, the guy sucks cock. All right, lots to talk about. We got our barbecue, Carolla family barbecue recap. We got Father's Day and what everyone was up to. With that, I got some thoughts on a new Netflix sitcom with Melissa McCarthy, I should say.
Oh, I saw the snippet.
And her husband.
Ben Falcone.
I'll tell you what's not a good sign. It's not a good sign when you see something of an artistic endeavor. Like I once saw a comedian open for Jon Stewart, and Jimmy and I both sat there and went, what's the story with this guy? Is he related to Jon Stewart?
Oh, boy.
So when you start
that
asking...
line of questioning is damaging.
Kind of questioning.
How'd you get in here?
Yeah, so...
How'd you get this number?
Right.
It was trending, or the number one sitcom or something on Netflix, God's Favorite Idiot.
Oh,
and I thought, I'll give it a look. And I was watching it. I got about halfway in, and it's like Melissa McCarthy. She's always funny and a big get for your sitcom on Netflix, and starred her husband, Ben Falcone. And then at a certain point, I stopped and I said, I bet Ben Falcone wrote this, and I also bet he's like the creator, because otherwise I don't think we would be seeing this.
But hold on, we got a big star attached.
I think I can deliver my wife if we do this. And I was like, yeah, this isn't good. So there's some story here. And I fast forwarded to the end, and it was created by and written by Ben Falcone. It's not good that I was able to suss that out in advance.
Yeah, I saw, how it automatically starts a clip from the show. And I was watching, and I was like, well, that's Melissa McCarthy being very Melissa McCarthy.
Yes.
And that's fun, but I didn't click on it.
The also in the one of the episodes they had a
how many did you watch?
Oh God!
When you say halfway, do you mean halfway through the season
of this thing you don't like?
Well, what ended up happening is it got through to the end, and then I saw the credits scroll quickly.
Yeah, and then they go right into the next episode.
So then I go, rewind, to credit. I do not have full dominion over my remote as it pertains to rewinding or fast forwarding for the different platforms.
Right.
I can do it with the TiVo or the DirecTV, whatever, but then you go to Netflix and they have a different thing.
Netflix wants to shuffle you right to the next episode. You get like a second half of credits. I
would ask that the streaming sites... And I will include pornography.
Oh boy!
Agree on a standard. You know what I mean, of what it is, what going forward, moving back. So I ended up trying to rewind. Before you rewind, you're at the beginning of the next episode.
Yes, exactly.
So then I was like, okay, now I'm at the beginning of the next episode. So then I start fast forwarding through that, and I get to the end, and I screw that up again. So now I'm 3 episodes in because I can't really control it. So I was able to see bits and pieces of multiple episodes, and I heard a David Bowie song. And then I stopped and I thought, I've been hearing David Bowie songs on TV commercials, on movies, in sitcoms. Like, it is Bowie, Bowie, Bowie. You turn the TV on, you will hear a Bowie song somewhere. And then I was like, I don't remember hearing that many Bowie songs behind anything in the past. Now and again, it would pop up, but it's all the time now.
I feel like there's a national ad that has Heroes or something. I feel like it's in my head.
They have picked up Bowie crafted his songs uniquely to fit well to narratives, which is now ubiquitous. And it's so weird that a song can be cut in 1978 and then take 37 years off and then become part of the lexicon again.
Fucking A. Bohemian Rhapsody's the best example.
Here we are. And it's just Bowie, Bowie, Bowie. And I thought, who's got a hold of the catalog?
Yeah.
Because
what's clearable all of a sudden?
Universal Music Group is really pushing it.
Yeah.
Because when Bowie was alive, it wasn't on every fakakta sitcom on Netflix.
Perhaps Bowie wouldn't have allowed that.
And on Infinity automobile commercials and stuff. It's kind of everywhere.
It's that scene from Trading Places at the end where they're on the stock floor and it's like selling, and they're like they're all diving. That's the Bowie catalog.
Yeah, so
sale.
I'm like sitting around as a pattern person, and I'm like, I used to hear a Bowie song now and again, but it was sparse. Now it's everywhere. So something happened, and somebody got hold of that catalog.
Right.
And so I walked in this morning and I said to Chris, who's got the Bowie catalog? Like, what happened? Warner bought it from Bowie's estate.
There you go.
In January. So the beginning of this year, January 2022.
Let that horse work.
For $250 million.
They're going to get their money back.
So they're going to get their money back. And I don't know who the Bowie estate is, but Bowie died. The estate got it. They sold it for, a mint. And now whoever bought it doesn't really care about the wishes of the estate for Bowie. They just want to get it out there and camera checks.
Yeah, his son, I'm almost positive Duncan Jones is a famous movie director, but I don't know beyond that who would have control of it.
Iman? Was he married to?
Hot. Yes, he was married to Iman.
Married.
Maybe she wanted maybe she wants to have a comfortable winter of her life.
It pays to be a hot chick. Well, let's face it.
Sure does.
Yeah, I don't know if Chris can find out. Bowie left half
his assets to his wife, the other half to his 2 kids.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm. God,
well, they all got
maybe
together.
2 kids. It's just his children.
$250 million.
Wow.
Well, talking to my ass, am I Duncan Jones is David Bowie's son? Thought so.
I'm willing to believe you.
We'll figure that out. Also, then there's the recap. So we'll start with Father's Day. What did you guys do?
No, Lightyear, first thing in the morning. It was the best thing. Lightyear came out this weekend, the new Buzz Lightyear Pixar movie, and the origin story, whatever. And my decision was, well, I'm going to be forced to spend time with my family. So let's do something I want to do. Let's do something I need to do for work. Let's do something I'd like to do. And so Lightyear it is. Tessa, of course, was totally into it. She got a good attention span for a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
She was in. So, Bowie, Lightyear, and then the in-laws, Chrissy's parents over for a barbecue in the evening.
Oh, nice.
It was nice, straightforward Father's Day stuff was lovely.
Yeah, we saw Lightyear on Friday. It's okay. But yeah, kids in a movie theater fucking ruins everything. So, I don't know. Maybe it was that.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's good.
The thing about, I don't know, is Father's Day bigger now? It did not exist when I was 12.
I see to it that it's big in our house. We had a whole full day.
I do not remember. Now, I come from the Carolla.
That's
yeah,
true.
how would you know?
It was not a thing. I mean, I don't know.
It was.
Chris, Dawson was Father's Day? Like when you were, in the 6th grade. Was that a thing?
Not really. I mean, it was a nice family barbecue day, but it
you
wasn't.
did something.
You acknowledged it. We did too.
We acknowledged it, yeah.
We always went either go-karting or putt-putt golf.
I don't think my dad has ever barbecued or owned a barbecue.
Wow.
That I buy.
Do you realize my dad had a custom barbecue setup? Like 2 Webers with the legs taken off, put into a table with holes cut out just big enough for the Webers to fit into.
Really?
He barbecued turkey for Thanksgiving every year.
Barbecue,
like on a rotisserie.
That sounds
Yeah,
delicious.
did it on the grill on a rotisserie.
Wow.
It was amazing. It was so succulent.
Now, barbecue is, we always talk about
There's
these
no
things.
greater contrast in your father experience and mine than the barbecue.
These are, barbecue is, it's barbecue, but it's really just kind of a metaphor. It's sort of it's a love of life. You know what I mean? It involves preparation. I mean, it goes further than the taste of barbecue because everyone enjoys barbecue.
Well, it's a labor of love.
Yes.
Yeah, you're
stuck where you are.
But you're also kind of symbolically saying, I shall devote X amount of hours
Yes.
to
Yeah.
these people who live in a house with me so that we may enjoy this thing together.
Totally.
Yeah, a party for 4 or 40, whatever it is. You people have fun, drink, enjoy. I will be here tending to this thing for
Yeah,
a number of
sounds good.
hours. And when the task is done, there will be delicious food.
Wow.
Yeah, I like the mindset. I
do
like what
too.
a barbecue says.
Represents.
What it represents.
So we had a very full Father's Day. It was really nice because Andy was of course on board with this. So the first thing we did was, and I know it's going to sound super wah-wah, but it wasn't. The first thing we did was go to the cemetery to put rocks on my dad's headstone. And
That's not funny.
but the thing is this is the first time our little guy has ever been to a cemetery. And I said, you know what? I'd rather you do it with us because we kind of get it and I can explain everything.
What's the significance of the rocks?
Okay, so in Judaism, instead of flower, you could leave flowers if you want, but you bring rocks. And there's lots of reasons and lots of debate as to why some say
Cheaper than flowers.
Exactly. That's the debate. It either keeps the soul down or it keeps the spirits away, but mostly it's because flowers die, they blow away whatever rocks that you will know you have been visited. People will know because rocks are like paperweights. So we like to color rocks and stuff, so we did that the night before. The boys made Chiefs footballs. I made whatever, and then there's a Ninja Turtle, or it's supposed to be at the top.
We had some of that in our family. Like during Christmas, my dad would say, "This lump of coal represents the Earth's forces harnessed
And that's sad.
to create energy."
So he's Jewish?
Are those hand painted?
I made the two on the bottom, yeah.
Those are really good.
Hand painted rocks.
I love painting rocks. It's like my thing.
The blue and the green are really good.
Thank you. I do it like all the
Painting
time.
rocks is what somebody yells at you
paint
when they want you to
rocks.
go, fucking get that shit out of here. You go out and paint rocks. Come back when you've changed your attitude.
You're going to hate this even more, but I
Ugh.
joined a group on Facebook
a group.
where you can hide them places and like have people like stumble upon them. Like they're like little like Easter eggs throughout the community. I love painting rocks. Anyway.
Ironic Easter eggs.
That's exactly right. So we went to the cemetery. I got to explain everything to him. It wasn't scary. And you know what? I thought very mature for a 6-year-old because I'm standing there and I do start crying and I don't want him to be like weirded out by that. So I was like, you know what? I just really miss my dad. And he's 6 years old. He goes, me too.
Oh.
As opposed to
Very
like
sweet.
freaking out. It was like really sweet. So I took him through the mausoleum and like it was just very nice. So then we wipe our hands of that. We get moving and we go to lunch at the Magnolia Grill in North Hollywood. I assume you've been. It's been there for 150,000 years. And in a just a very rundown parking lot next to Euphoria, the dog grooming salon.
Oh my God.
And
I tell you, The Simpsons started this stuff,
Yeah,
but now
Loftorium.
people
Yep.
do it now.
there's Indiana Bones in the Temple of Groom.
The
in
vast
Toluca Lake.
waistband
Yeah.
for the big and tall. That was my favorite, the vast waistband for the
That's
big and
good.
tall place.
You know,
That's
what,
good.
you know what they have is it's a tennis pro shop called the Merchant of Tennis.
They have the Merchant of Tennis. They have they have Lawrence of La Brea.
That's good.
Yeah.
There's the Marquis of Sod. I think the guy who
that's
does the
good.
Sod front lawns.
Yeah, that's
good.
very good. So we did that. Then we had a very rec center centric day. We went to the pool. Of course, I couldn't go in because I am packed with gauze. And then you can just flip through.
It
them.
would have
Then-
just soaked it all.
then we played a
You
little.
went to North Hollywood Park?
Yeah.
And
We went to the pool.
Oh, it's across
Really
from
fun.
the fire station. I
Yes.
put my application
Yep.
in all those years
They
ago.
still said sit tight. I went over there to check. Then we went to play some hoops in the 10 feet away in the basketball.
Wow.
We went to play.
Easy, Andy, with the fucking jump shot.
Andy
Wow.
loves basketball. Went to the playground. We went home. We ate Freezy Pops. They played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle video games. I said, you can have anything you want for dinner. I'll make it. I'll buy it. So, Vinny, hold your ears. Andy picked deep dish pizza. So went
Where
and
do you
picked
get
that
good
up.
deep dish
There's
there?
Gino's East in Sherman Oaks. Yeah, Dawson's giving me the thumbs up. It's really
Okay.
good. So and I got him. We got him these funny socks and we got him a funny card. And we're going to go see the new the King James play downtown about LeBron James.
You get it at How Deep Is Your Love for Pepperoni. Which is on Magnolia off of Lancashire,
Okay.
if you've not been there.
So we like to make big deals out of these things, or at least I do.
What's the protocol if nobody has anything planned for you?
Ugh.
I'm just asking for
For
a
a
friend.
friend.
Would you wander in and say to the kids, like, hey, what's up? Do you go right to Father's Day, or do you kick it, scratch around a little? Like, what you got planned for today?
God, that is
Nothing.
It's a real 16
I
candle
was
situation.
just going to say, ask Molly Ringwald.
Yeah.
That's the premise of the movie.
I announced at some point that my two kids were going to have to take me out for dinner tonight that I would pay for.
Oh.
And
nice.
That's what we ended up doing.
So nothing on Father's Day.
Well, we went out to a
Father's
dinner,
Days.
Right.
and at some point, my daughter said she didn't feel that well, but she can drive now.
Ah,
So she
Big time.
left, and me and Sonny just walked down.
okay.
Oh, I didn't see it going that way.
Happy
Well,
Father's
maybe
Day.
they're being respectful, giving you space to celebrate with your dad.
Right. Silently.
Then
Privately.
In your
later-
own way.
then tough night, which is at I ended up going to bed kind of early for me, about 11, and Phil decided to join me, which is not something he normally does.
Has he healed?
He's
No pun
on the
intended?
mend, and he's his old self again, and
Okay.
he mixes it up once in a while, and he decided he should come to bed with me.
Oh, good.
So
Oh, nice.
that he did. But then, at exactly 3 a.m., I heard the handle of my bedroom door jiggle.
Okay.
Now, as I've been saying since Loveline, get a lock for your bedroom door.
Oh, boy.
The bold lock.
Yeah, get one of those thumb turn ones. It doesn't have to be a big old deadbolt, but not bad. But because you hear enough stories where, I woke up and the guy was masturbating at the end of the bed with a machete, and that could be avoided if you just. All you need is a barrel bolt.
Yeah.
Like, you just need something to stop them from just sort of strolling
Sauntering in.
Now, people say, well, what about kids? And my feeling is...
Most of all.
If yes, very true. If some maniac breaks into the house, you want your cell phone on your nightstand and your door locked.
Sure.
Because you will then have some time and not have a thing where somebody's standing and there's nothing in your
Yeah,
bedroom. There's
nothing
nothing
to
you
be
can do.
done.
So there's a jiggle on the door.
I've seen Panic Room, dude.
There's Angela Johnson, who we've had on, has a whole
Graham.
routine about this.
Oh, right.
Being the dispatcher and be like, you didn't lock your door. I mean, we're coming, but like, this is your fault.
So there's a jiggle at the door.
Oh, boy.
I wake up and as a sort of was there a jiggle at the door? But Phil's in full dog alert, like heads up,
Yep.
head moving around. And I'm like, oh, Phil heard it.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard it. Now who's jiggling that knob?
Oh, boy.
So I'm like, and I'm looking at kind of a shadow underneath the door with a little bit of light.
I don't like this.
And sure enough, the shadow goes away. So whatever, there was some feet there, but the feet are gone.
Wow, this is nightmarish.
And I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, what's the plan? All right, we got to get rid of the boner. That's
Sure.
number one.
That hasn't gone away yet.
Phil's on his feet. Phil's by the door,
Okay.
but Phil doesn't bark. He never barks. So, and I'm standing there. Now I'm trying to kind of peek under the door. And is there somebody wandering around this house? Who would jiggle the doorknob at 3 a.m.?
And you're less afraid and more confused, I would imagine.
I'm like, it could definitely, it's not Natalia. It could be Sunny, but if it's not Sunny, who is
got a
it?
problem.
We got a problem. So I get my phone going, just to make sure I could make a call if I had to. And then I kind of slowly unlock the door and slowly open the door. And there's nothing. But Phil kind of goes for something on the ground, as if he saw something, or as if there's a vermin or something.
Yeah.
He makes a little bit of a move in a sort of corner. I can't really see what he's doing. It appears he ate something off the floor. So now I'm like, okay, did somebody throw a treat down? And if somebody threw a treat down, then that's Sunny. But then why didn't Sunny knock? But then Sunny's Sunny, so he wouldn't knock if the door was locked.
And the burglar would want to keep the dog quiet and happy and throw a treat down.
My first thought now is since it's such an unusual thing, well, not such, but it's an unusual thing for Phil to be sleeping with you, and he said he was going to let him out into his room.
Yes. So now I creep down the stairs looking around. I start turning some lights on. And sure enough, I go into Sonny's room and he's up And he came to get Phil
There we go.
with
There
a
you go.
treat, but he's so considerate that he wouldn't bang on the door. Once the door was locked, he turned around.
He's not a friend's mom, for God's sake.
Headed
Yes.
back downstairs because that's just who he is. And, now it's 3:15 and I'm up.
Yeah.
So now I decided to go, watch some TV for an hour and go to bed. But
Yeah, once a month, Charlie will fall asleep on Tessa's bed, which is the cutest goddamn thing ever. We'll have to go in there, let him out, obviously, to our bed or whatever. So it does happen.
yeah, so I got straightened out. It was unnerving is what I would call it.
Where I really don't know where you personally stand on home firearms.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah, literally the other day about the blank, the buckshot, and it's on.
Yeah.
That was your old thing.
I would think that in the shotgun.
Adam had a
Like the
shotgun.
buckshot, it's on.
That was his thing.
It makes sense.
I always said get
Get
it.
full Tony Soprano in the hutch or something.
That's
or the
right.
wall.
It goes in the hutch. Everybody knows that.
Yeah,
Except the really hot ones go in the ceiling.
I always said for home protection, get a shotgun, get the kind that holds 8 rounds, pump it, and make the first one a blank and make the second one, like rock salt, and then have the next 6 be real. Now, I don't know. People would go, oh, listen, in a thing, you don't have time. It's like, I've heard too many stories about people shooting the wrong person or running down the stairs and the gun goes off when they trip or whatever. I don't want the first shot to be all business.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Secondly, if the shit is going down, you could pump those first 2 out in probably a little under a second if you just pumped it. They always say the sound of the pump is
That's what I was gonna say.
anyone
Best part.
anyone needs.
Ends most conflicts.
So do you have any? Do you have anything?
I do, but it's nowhere. It's like locked away in a gun safe. So the answer is no.
Yeah, it's not gonna help.
I think the second best is they do have those wall-mounted mini pistol safes, and you can just mount it next to your nightstand, and you have to hit the code, and the thing will pop up. I'm just like, there's a part of me that literally would rather get shot than shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, it's just not my thing. Like just guns. And what it is this. If this is going to be your plan, there must be preparation and a plan.
Dry run.
You must commit that code to memory. You must do it a couple of times, time yourself, tell the kids, here's what happens. I'm not giving you the code, blah, blah, blah. And it just feels like
Too much.
I am, simultaneously exquisitely motivated and insanely lazy in certain departments. And that department to me is just way too lazy.
Well, I was a single gal, as you know, for many, many years in LA, and I always had a handgun. And I had the safe that I had to memorize the code. So
But you were in a good part of...
Koreatown.
And so that's the thing. It's like, no, that was Teresa. I was in, I was
thought you were in
East
Koreatown.
Hollywood. No, I was in Echo Park.
Oh, boy.
So I had to have
Hold on a
it.
second, Gina. Talk down. Is there a difference between Koreatown and East Hollywood?
Oh my God. One's Mexican, one's Korean.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. Like
Is there a difference between having someone throw shit at you or diarrhea? Is the way I would look at that. The answer is some, but I don't know. I don't know what
Technically, but effectively the same.
Yes.
So for anyone who thinks they know me and knows where I stand on everything, I'm down. And I assumed you may be too.
I think it would be, depending on where you lived, I would kind of file it under, and by the way, it's time for me. I think your kid should take a defensive driving course.
Sure.
I think they should head on out to the Bob Bondurant School of whatever.
That's a waste of my time.
And get that thing out onto the wet down skid pad and feel what a car feels like when it's lost its gription. Yeah. And just really get used to being able to handle that car in a more extreme situation. And I guess I feel the same about guns as well. Like, teach them, show them, have them get the respect for, have them be able to handle it. I don't know that, conceal carry and all that kind of stuff. I'm just not that guy. But I would feel if there was somebody in my life that was like concealed carry or had it in their home and that person trained on a semi-regular basis, was very familiar with it, maybe ex-law enforcement or something, I would feel super comfortable around that person.
Same. And I've told you this before. We knew someone who their kids grew up from a very young age around guns and knowing how to handle them. But they were never allowed to have toy guns. No Christmas presents, nothing. Because they never wanted them to conflate them. Because their brain, they're little. And they're like, we just don't do toy guns. They know what we have in the house and they're kept away. And they aren't scared of them. But we will never give them an opportunity to be confused.
Yeah, I guess it is. The gun math is you hope you never have to use one. You probably never will. There is the chance that at some point you're going to wish like hell you had one, but that, depending on where you live and what the neighborhood is and whether they recall the DA or whatever's going on politically, you're probably, there's probably a higher likelihood that somebody steals the gun or your distraught teen uses it to commit suicide or whatever it is. To me, it's just kind of a math equation.
Yeah. And I think I've told you before when you said the buckshot and the rock salt, they sell, or at least they did at one point because we did this story, seasoned buckshot. So when you hit the deer or whatever, it's already seasoned, like barbecue flavor or whatever.
That's got to be a goof. That's real?
I mean, we did the story. I don't think it was April Fool's Day.
Well, you wouldn't shoot a deer with a shotgun. You would shoot a pheasant or something, or a duck, right?
I imagine.
Because deer hunters use a rifle.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think you can go deer hunting
called
with
buckshot.
The first thing it says is seasoned shot is like killing two birds with one delicious stone.
It is called buckshot, but I don't know that anyone I don't know anything about hunting, but I've never seen anyone hunt.
I don't know.
With a shotgun.
I'm sure plenty of people will get in touch with
Chris will look it up. Deer hunting with a shotgun? I don't think that's a thing.
Better hit that thing.
Thought it was all birds, but it's such a Well,
there's Cajun, lemon pepper, garlic teriyaki, and honey mustard.
I wonder. I think it's more of a.
My dad used that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more of a thing that like if your wife screws the pooch on the roast, you get to come in and pump it and walk back out again.
Yeah.
Chris, anything? Is there such a thing as shotgun hunting with a deer, and then why buckshot?
It's like Homer's makeup gun.
Most parts of the U.S. and Canada likely don't even consider shotguns when it comes to hunting deer. They're usually for waterfowl or turkey, but there are places in the Midwest where if you're hunting whitetails, a slug gun is common.
Oh, but that's just a single slug. That's just one big marble. That's not the shot or the multiple shot.
And someplace in Michigan for many years, shotguns were the only legal firearm for deer.
Interesting.
Really? Seems all right. So but look, you could season a turkey while it's 80 feet in the air.
That's right.
All right. Let's see. I don't have any spots in here, Chris. I do not believe. Someone was supposed to do that.
We're getting them in.
We'll take a break. We got the barbecue recap. I got Bill Maher recap. We got Rotten Tomatoes game. We never played last week.
Too much show.
We can do that. First, I'll tell you about J.B. Weld, world's strongest bond. J.B. Weld. Let's fix things. Let's not throw things away, people.
For Father's Day, Christy used J.B. Weld on a broken chair. Yeah, she used the wood. Quick wood is what it's called, and it's like the instant wood putty, I guess. And yeah, she fixed a chair that she had broken. And as a gift to me, because I'm like, can we fix that chair you broke? Can we fix that chair?
Yeah.
And out comes the J.B. Weld.
Now, is that her department? I mean, fixing the chair?
Well, arts and crafts, Mod Podge. That's what I do.
Either of us could have fixed the chair, but the chair was broken by her hand. The chair was her fault. The breaking of the chair was her fault.
All right.
But clarify so people don't think she sat on it and broke a chair.
The chair was not sat on.
Okay.
The chair was hurled.
Oh,
hurled. Whoa.
I was not expecting
This is getting cathartic.
Wow. So she went.
She threw a chair at you?
No, she threw a chair in anger.
Oh, wow. She went
because
full
of you?
Geraldo.
She really did.
Wow.
This is JP Old's getting a lot more than they paid for. Tessa was having a very hard time taking some medication to the point where she became obstinate to this. It was antibiotics. It was
that bubblegum pink shit?
Yeah, and like she had to take it, right? When she started antibiotics, she had the whole cycle. So here it is like day 3. And she is not taking the antibiotics, and Christy's trying everything, and I'm trying everything, and it reached the boiling point, and the chair went flying.
I admire her passion.
That's awesome.
Anyway, the chair sat broken, and the JB Well to the rescue.
Wow. Well, you can keep it in your kitchen drawer, possibly your therapist's office.
Yeah.
Toolbox, craft supplies, the garage, wherever. Also, they're the proud owner of Herculiner, the original DIY truck bed liner. So if you're looking for the world's strongest truck bed liner, Herculiner has you covered. And it's available at jbweld.com, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, AutoZone, Advance Auto Parts, O'Reilly, Amazon, Michael's, over Brian's house, and proudly made in the U.S. of A. It's JB Weld. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Adam, this is Victoria from Ohio. I'm an Instacart shopper, and I know you talked about avocados and the varying of ripeness. I do indeed shop accordingly for my customers, but just an FYI, I've had an Instacart order get Plan B was the only item, and they tip me not cash, not on the app, but in Taco Bell taco coupons. That was my tip. And you know what? Just to help somebody out, I was all for it. Get it on. Thanks.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Awesome.
Plan B.
Indeed.
I like that they got Plan B, but that's where someone shops for you and just brings it to your house.
Instacart, yeah.
I feel like you should go mule your own Plan B. And the Taco Bell, but that's definitely not a Jew leader in the clubhouse.
My
Am I
God.
right?
Yes, of course. Plan B and Taco Bell coupons.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Get that one chambered.
I saw something I hadn't seen before at the barber clip shop. I don't know, Brian, if you've ever come up. I'm saying Brian because it's definitely a male thing.
Really mean.
Saw a guy. I sat down. There were only two people in the place, one other customer beside me. Guy had a pretty epic comb-over scene going.
Still.
Yeah. Yeah. Not Jerry Buss, but a smaller, lower key, but he had a comb-over going.
Okay.
And I was thinking, the guy was 60, whatever, sort of brought it from one side to the other and then brought it sort of from the back to the front. And I thought to myself, in all the years, I've never seen anyone work a comb-over. Like,
right.
I've not... they're in shame. They're in secret. These are back alley type barbers who deal with these guys and all the trips. And this is, average of every 2 months since I was 18. I've never seen, witnessed somebody cut a comb over head and then what the rules are and how it works. Because for me, they always go like, they go, number two on the, they do me like they do sheep, they go number two on the side, number three on the top.
Then they make a duvet out of
what do you want to make, what shape you want the back of your neck in? Never seen a comb over.
So he literally took the side piece and the back piece, trimmed them, and then put them back, rearranged them back on top.
Yeah, you have to have an understanding with your barber if that's the route you're going.
That's someone who's bleeding this guy, because if he said shave it, he'd never see this guy again.
Yeah, but this wasn't comb overs and such, or simply comb overs.
Fantastic comb overs.
Perry comb over.
Good.
They didn't have that. It was just the sports clip and La Cañada, and this guy just walked in.
He's proud.
He didn't have his person. So they do a thing where they pull your tab when you give them your number, your ID or whatever it is, and the thing comes out, and they go, okay, number two on the side, you like the back, and it's actually kind of efficient.
Yeah, sure.
And that means you could go with any barber because they just have the little cheat sheet that says number two on the side, number three on the top. They had a cheat sheet on this guy.
Oh, so he had been there before.
Which is take, but not.
But not to his guy.
Barber.
Right. It's a round robin of whoever. It's all random who you get, and then so she was like half inch off all the way around, 5 inches side, 5 inches back, or like she said, like 5 inches left, 5 inches back.
Wow, that's architecture.
I just sat there staring into the mirror. He was behind me, but I was studying his reflection, the entire thing. And she pulled it over and got the 5-inch side over and got the side 5. Now, I don't know. I started thinking about it. Like, bigger tipping in that situation. Is there a Hippocratic oath? You know what I mean? Where
Do no harm.
A
They're not doing
plastic
that.
surgeon comes in and someone goes, I want to, fake titty size 52 triple R. They go like, I don't do. I just won't do that.
Right.
I didn't get into this for that.
It's not ethical.
The conscientious objectors.
Yeah.
I'll speak from experience. I did a couple of the Fantastic Sams or whatever the fuck the other one is towards the end of my hair run, and never once did I get the, hey, ever think about shaving it, or you ever like never once did I get that. I was always like, what can we do for you, sir?
Yeah.
So they're in it to, like Gina said, bleed you.
Or it's just like they don't get paid enough to try and convince you to alter your life that way.
Well, let's not forget that young 16-and-a-half-year-old Adam Carolla's life was altered by a brave woman who worked at Supercuts in North Hollywood, who, when I was going through my Greg Brady like hair transformation, and I used to come in there and I'd go, it's sticking up, like just cut the curls down off and get it to sit down, like pat it down. She was like, oh yeah, I know what to do. And I was like, you do? And she just started cutting away on my weird Jewy fro-y, but it wasn't Jew fro. It was like matted down and bucket head and everything like that. And she wasn't doing what they normally do. And then at the end, she like got it wet and frizzed it up with her fingers a little. And she's like, just walk home in the hot sun. When you get home, you'll be looking at a different head. And I'm like, okay. And by the time I got home, I had a fro. I had a natural.
Right.
And
she cut for the curls, not against the curls.
she did. She said, what does his hair want to do, not does what he want for his hair.
Correct.
She ruled me out of the equations.
Yeah.
Like, I know what you need to do.
Yeah.
And then I got home and I had this fro. And I went to school the next day and everyone's like, you got a perm. And I was like, I didn't do anything. This is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah.
So my hair like came out of the closet.
That's right. Curly girls, we're all very used to that.
Let
When
it
you
be
try
free.
to cut against the curl, have fun with that. So, but that was your fairy godmother. How often does that happen?
Never. I agree. She just followed her marching orders. And now,
She knew it was good for you.
Yeah.
do they say, like, in this day and age of getting out the short clippers and talking about all the greats, all the luminaries that are out there now, the Bald Bryants,
right.
the
Yeah.
Michael Jordans of the world,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
In that order.
you
The
want
two,
this?
yeah.
Or is that bad for business?
Well, that was kind of my theory. That their job is to keep you coming back, not to set you free.
Well, she combed it over and she got one 5 inches long, and the other
Did you
was
see him leave? Mm-hmm. Did it look like a nice comb over?
It looked like a version of what he walked in with, but it was that. I mean, it was half inch in the back and then 5 inches on the right and
boy.
5 inches on the back. And
When you started this report, I was thinking, when's the last time I saw a genuine, earnest come over in the wild? It's usually like in movies to indicate an idiot.
Right.
there is a lesser, older guy. It really is only going to
I
work.
don't mean Trump or Biden or anything.
There's
like,
there's a lesser gray hair, thin, fine hair guy, normally the friendliest guys on the planet, who have a lower key, kind of smoother comb over, if you kind of picture it. You know, not the big 70s, but just a thin, fine, kind of always looks like their hair's a little sweaty or something.
Right.
Christy's dad has that, but that's just the way he combed his hair, and now he's an older gentleman, and the silver goes that way.
Yeah.
Well, she should throw a chair at him and get him to just buzz
We
that
cut
shit
out.
off.
Actually, I was thinking about this.
Listen, I applaud it. That's passion. You know what I mean?
There's more frustration. I think every parent of a
but you have to care.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, she wanted to take the medicine.
She didn't throw the chair at the child, so
Yeah.
it's
No,
okay.
The sheriff's throwing in no one. The
we
fridge,
know.
really.
Nice. All right. So then the other thing I noticed when I was sitting I was looking at the products, and I realized I'd seen this my whole life, and I've never had any thoughts about it. And then I realized must be comedians who do jokes on it. But the product Barberside still exists.
Uh-huh.
The
In that
blue.
like tube.
Yeah, well, now it's in a spray bottle or
Oh,
whatever.
I like the blue tube.
Whatever it is. And then I thought,
Wasn't that a cylinder? Sorry to interrupt. Wasn't that a cylinder you kept?
Yeah,
the
that's
comb
what
in?
I mean. Yeah.
Barberside sounds like your barber killed somebody.
you're killing
like
a barber.
When a barber kills his wife, it's Barberside.
He committed barbicide.
And because we have suicide and we have
Homicide.
and we have matricide, like the patricide.
Regicide.
Why are we doing the side?
Yeah.
Maybe it's killing germs.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
I don't know, but it's still going, Barberside's still going strong in a squeeze bottle now. I can't imagine what's in there, but it exists.
Oh, it's altering our DNA for sure.
And
Speak for yourselves.
all right, we got the Rotten Tomatoes game to play.
And the barbecue was amazing.
And the barbecue was amazing. Fans are great.
was great.
Absolutely.
Such a big
Just
fun
a
day.
good group and the number of people that travel.
Oh my God! It was what,
Everyone from somewhere.
somebody
Which
was from
sounds
the
silly, but you
Dominican
know what I mean.
Republic. A couple people were there from the Dominican Republic.
I know. I got some currency
Oh,
that I later gave Sonny.
that's awesome.
All right, shall we play the game?
Well, in honor of Adam's next book, the brand new one, Everything Reminds Me of Something, Advice, Answers, but No Apologies, which you can pre-order right now at Amazon. Today we're going to take a look at some movies featuring the celebrities who asked Adam questions in the book.
Interesting.
Before he met Chris in Italy, Judd Apatow was writing and directing a movie about a directionless stoner with a heart of gold and the laugh of Seth Rogen. He ends up expecting a child after a one-night stand with an entertainment reporter. And it is Seth Rogen, Katherine Heigl, and Paul Rudd from 2007. The movie is Knocked Up.
Very enjoyable movie.
I enjoyed this movie.
And funny with a heart, I think
That's
you would
kind of
say.
that's his genre, Judd Apatow.
He really landed this one, and I really enjoyed it. Katherine Heigl was likable. I hear she's
You
not.
sound very surprised.
I've heard otherwise.
Yeah, I think that the cast of Grey's Anatomy might have feelings about that.
Yeah, so...
Or the writers.
Yeah, so what's not to like, except for they're always fucking shitty with comedies.
Yeah.
They're
was-
just rough on comedies.
Was Girls out yet? Because I was going to say, I mean, Judd Apatow has like cred, you know, like in that.
Girls?
But this isn't looked at as like an intellectual
Okay,
comedy.
I see.
Like, this
Because
is a,
I never saw the whole movie. I've just seen it in bits and pieces, so I really don't know.
you'd enjoy it.
It's a little bit of a stoner comedy, a little bit, but it's
Okay,
good. It's
okay.
funny. It's very well done, and it is. If you're looking for romantic, lighthearted, funny comedy,
Watch
Knocked
Road
Up.
Hard.
Watch Road Hard,
And
and then
then-
watch Knocked Up. There's a very good execution of this. I can't figure out what they wouldn't like about it, other than they're just sort of comedy snobs. They
Did
just-
this lead to This Is 40? Were that the same Rudd and Amy Mann?
Yeah.
Leslie Mann characters?
I think
think
that
it was a
was.
spin-off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Same characters.
All right, you guys.
Okay, hold on.
Want to lock it in, Brian? You in?
Yep, we're good.
All right. It should be in the 80s, no problem, but I went 78 just because they're rough on comedy sometimes.
I went with my heart, 81.
I'm going to maybe need to crawl back big time because I said 66 and I haven't seen it.
Brian, did you say 81?
81.
Okay. Knocked Up is certified fresh at 89%.
Wow.
Nice to know.
I wish
Good
you
to
guys
know.
would just shut up with your commentary, your speculation.
Well, we did
right.
vote accordingly.
I said it was a really good movie five
yeah,
times.
but that they wouldn't go for it. is what I
Audience
was-
has it 83. It's kind of rare that a audience scores lower than a
Yeah.
critic score on a
Comedy.
comedy, but this is very
heartfelt.
good. Yes.
Speaking of Judd Apatow, this movie was also written by him, but features another comedian who asks a question in Adam's book, Jeff Ross. In this movie, two Boston-born basketball-loving brothers decide to kidnap a player from an opposing NBA team to ensure victory for theirs. With Daniel Stern, Dan Aykroyd, and Damon Wayans from 1996, Celtic Pride.
I've never heard of this movie.
Oh,
really?
yeah. I mean, look at the poster. You know it's funny. Judd
Good
Apatow
cast.
wrote this?
Wow.
Is that what we figured out?
That's what it says right here.
Huh.
Didn't know that.
Did not know that either. There was a string of we have to kidnap the best player on the other team so the other team will fail by just crazy fans. It
Rarely worked.
It sort of has, it's just not the kind of thing that could play for 100 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of the same joke.
They'd probably cancel the game and look for the guy.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything good about this, but Judd's a funny writer, so.
But he was probably writing to that genre.
He co-wrote it with Colin Quinn too.
Oh, damn. That should be a great
important
movie.
Note. Oh, dear.
Oh, boy.
The thing about writing comedy is it's not really like cooking. Like if you said to me, oh, Adam Perry Lang and Jimmy Kimmel are going to be in charge of the barbecue and the pizzas for the weekend
What could go wrong?
for the Super Bowl game. I'm like, this is fucking going to be awesome.
Yeah.
The comedy doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get two guys you think are the funniest. They could be starring in it. They could be writing it. They could be, and then it's like,
This the alchemy that
Right.
doesn't make any sense sometimes.
Yeah, and then the other direction. Someone you never heard of, someone who wasn't formally that funny, write something.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So,
Oh, man, where do I go with this?
Yeah.
Daniel Stern and, Aykroyd
Aykroyd
are
Damon
good.
Wayans.
They're all good.
Shit.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Everyone in?
Yeah. Is Brian?
All right.
I think I went high.
I did too. Fuck.
29.
21.
33.
Celtic Pride is rotten at 8.
Damn it.
This is not a good game.
People have it at 32. Wow, is this about as
Also-
low as all those people together could create?
And I can tell you from that first poster why it would not play well today. I don't think they'd like the
Black
man
man?
sitting there with ropes around his wrists. That's not great.
Yeah, and yeah,
Yeah.
very Roots-esque.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Ray Romano is featured in Adam's new book. He was praised for his performance in this Sundance darling about an interracial couple who must deal with their cultural differences before one of them falls seriously ill.
I love this movie.
The recently dumped boyfriend ends up bonding with
yeah.
the parents of his hospitalized ex-girlfriend. And did I mention this was also produced by Judd Apatow? Starring Kumail Nanjiani, Zoe Kazan, and Holly Hunter, and of course Ray Romano. From 2017, The Big Sick.
This was a really good movie, and I love them
like
as the parents.
this movie,
Yeah.
and we're going to get some intersectional points tacked on here, thematically, from a cast standpoint. It's all there for a high score.
All the ingredients.
All the ingredients.
But as we established, sometimes the ingredients don't come together.
All right, everyone loved this one.
Shut up, Brian.
It was highly
Like
praised,
from Michael Showalter.
and we got the intersectional points.
You know, it's
hold
based
on.
on their story, right? He
Yeah,
has a
not
wife?
her, but yeah, his history, yeah. Okay, hold on.
I'm going to say with all that, 94.
92.
88.
The Big Sick is certified fresh at 98%.
Oh, okay, everybody calm down. I don't know about all that. It's really good.
You get the intersectional bump. You didn't put the bump on
You're right,
there for the theme. Very good.
Now, from what I can tell, Judd Apatow had nothing to do with this next movie,
He enjoyed it.
but it's got everything to do with Pauly Shore. Two friends just looking for a bathroom end up sealed off in an ecological experiment where their antics jeopardize the scientists' plans, starring Pauly Shore, Stephen Baldwin, and Rose McGowan from 1996, Biodome.
Anybody see this?
Afraid not.
Probably
Which was also
saw
the-
bits and pieces.
Wasn't this the premise basically of the Simpsons movie? Remember?
More or less.
Yeah. This was a big movie in terms of everyone knew what it was when it came out. I don't know if everyone saw it, but everyone recognized the name.
Yeah.
Look at this poster. William Atherton gets third billed.
Who is that?
He's the smarmy guy from Die Hard. He's
okay.
He's he's a prick in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't
Peck.
know where Rose McGowan is somebody's girlfriend in this. I don't remember her in this. But now, all right. So
Your dome away from home.
Celtic Pride was 8.
Yeah.
Is this lower than 8? I mean, I don't think it's a better movie, but how do you get much lower than 8?
And it's one of these things where you wouldn't be caught dead praising this because it was kind of a punchline stoner movie.
Right.
Okay.
But now, stoner movies can get a couple points just from being a stoner
not
movie.
Not the Pineapple Expressway. That's like cool stoner movie.
Yes. All right.
Hold on.
Wow.
I think there's a big enough stoner community that if you made a film called Dude, Where's My Doobie, your base would be 22%, no matter how bad it was. All right.
Hold on.
Brian's the kind of guy who will throw a zero burger up every once in a while and just go for it.
I have been known to do that.
And the thing about these kinds of movies is the Celtic Pride's got me all fucked up because there are movies like this where like, 27, that was cute or some version of that. Yeah. I'm going one lower than Celtic Pride and 7.
Damn.
0.
Damn. 18. Certified fresh.
Biodome is rotten.
Oh, yeah.
At 4%.
Oh, shit. What'd you say, 0?
0.
Damn.
4. Is that 1 out of 26?
Because there's 26 reviews.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a tough game for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a remake of the classic 1984 movie where 4 men cross streams. This version takes a more feminine approach to catching spectral foes, featuring Adam Ray, who appears in Adam's book, as the voice of Slimer, and starring Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, and Leslie Jones from 2016, Ghostbusters.
I did not enjoy this.
I never saw it.
You're really not missing much.
Okay. Was it the same story just told through a female cast, or was it a different premise? Or
That's part of the problem. It was poorly. Do you see it, Adam? It's poorly conceived.
No.
Like they exist in a world where no ghost. I forget if Ghostbusters had existed in this world or not. They're picking up from scratch, basically.
okay, because some dudes were fucking outraged that this movie was ever made. So I couldn't get a good vibe on whether it was that or whether it was not. It was generally not good.
They were a little bit of both. They were pre-outraged,
Right.
and it didn't happen to be good.
Okay.
Right. They'll probably say, oh, it was the haters, but
Which means the critics would probably overcompensate for the Reddit
traditionally, when you do an all-female version of typical male vehicle and it really lands, the critics pump it up a little more. They like
sure.
they
People
like it.
Girl Oceans, I can't
I
remember.
was just about to say, I would guess Ocean's 8 would be a higher score than it deserves. I thought it was a very middling movie, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a
Okay.
higher score.
I
Yeah,
have
they
no
like
clue what to say about this.
like if there's a superhero movie with a dude and a superhero movie with a chick, and they're both 70, the women will get a little bump because we're glad
that's happening.
Female kicking ass.
Okay.
So
I don't even know what
But nobody said anything good about this.
The debate wasn't whether it was good or not, it was why it was bad. Are you being a hater or was it not good?
Yeah.
Precisely. I don't think anything had to do with the quality of the film. It was all about are you upset by the idea this movie exists?
Was anyone overcompensating, trying to push against
That's what
that
I'm saying.
narrative?
That's what the critics.
I can see that.
Now, look, the game is fairly close. Brian has a bit of a lead, but this movie,
This is a tough one.
there could be about 25 points here. This could be a shit show at 19 or like 49.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're going to have to figure out, Gina, whether you're going low or
Okay.
high
Done.
on this one.
Done.
Done. Okay. I'm going to say 38.
I'm going to say what Gina said, which is I think critics were kind of pushing back against the pre-hate and thought they should have loved this movie. So I'm going to go with the Barely Fresh 65.
Oh, wow. Well, I stuck by Adam Carolla's rules. I said I got to go Adam high or Adam low. I went Adam high at 49.
All right.
Not
Fresh,
high enough.
Brian has it.
Ghostbusters. Certified fresh.
Oh,
73%.
shocking.
And I got the audience score.
This is not a good movie.
People have it at 49. Well, this
Wow.
is exhibit A of the critics being like too woke and trying to, go, I'm
Right.
going to take a stand against bullying women, female cast. And,
Wow.
they did it, didn't they? All I heard is this thing was an abortion, but the critics made it. And when is a comedy 24 points higher from the critics than it is from the audience.
It's not very.
Almost
It's not
always
very
the
good.
other way around.
Tessa,
All right.
Tessa got into Ghostbusters for a short time, so I showed her this one thinking, oh, I'll show a little bit. Bored. Didn't even finish it.
That was a death knell for me and me.
Well, before I give the scores, I would like to say again that Adam's new book, Everything Reminds Me of Something, Advice, Answers, But No Apologies, is available for pre-order right now at Amazon, so go ahead and do that. We're currently working on the audiobook, and it's going to be awesome. Gina Grad, congratulations, you made the podium. Adam Carolla coming in with a score of 74.
One higher than Ghostbusters.
Right.
Gina, you are firmly in last place with 96.
Shit. That's not good.
And Bald Brian blew away the competition with the win, the score of 39.
A lot of fans at the game at the barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
They were sure to tell me.
I'm sure.
Well, he had to go higher or low on that. All I heard was horrible things. I can't imagine that thing was in the 70s.
Wow.
Overcompensation, like you guys were saying.
All right, Randy Couture, UFC legend and actor too, and all the Expendable movies. Got the fourth one coming out, doing his own action stuff as well. We'll talk to Octagon heavyweight legend Randy Couture right after this.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, St. Cloud, Minnesota. A 43-year-old man was charged with lewd exhibition with someone under 16 and 1 count of indecent exposure after he was caught masturbating at his table at Wendy's. Definitely not a Jew.
UFC legend and soon-to-be acting legend. We're working on it. And entrepreneur Randy Couture is here. Good to see you, Randy.
Thanks. Good to see you too, Adam.
Yeah. The movie is called Blowback. It'll be available in select theaters and on VOD. And it's available as we speak. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the UFC. We'll talk about Expendables and acting and gym ownership and all the good stuff. I know you started in the military, right?
Yes, I was in the Army from 1982 to 1988. There wasn't a whole lot going on back then.
Yeah.
Peak of the Cold War.
Yeah.
About 5 million soldiers stationed in Central Europe. I happened to be in Germany for three of those 6 years.
What is that straight out of high school, or did you
Yeah.
do some college?
I walked on at Washington State, tried to wrestle there, ended up getting my girlfriend pregnant, needed to make a serious decision.
Different day, though, right?
I hope so.
He was so frustrated that he came home.
I think at some point you go on autopilot. I had a kind of a deadbeat dad growing up, and I wasn't going to be that guy. So we ended up getting married that February in 1982, and I left for basic training that following October. Wow.
I got to tell you, I should have went right from high school to a recruiter's office. Like I should have. I had nothing going on, and the few guys that I knew, they got out. They had some benefits. They could apply for a home loan, and there were perks. There was same year, 1982. There wasn't any action going on in the world. It was a kind of a safe bet. Just for where I came from, it was like, they got to cut your hair, and then you become the man, and all that. But did you? How was your hair going into that in 82?
Well, my friends had a big party to send me off to basic training, and I let them shave my head. So we had a fun time doing it, and I showed up bald, literally bald. They called me Rockhead when I showed up at a reception station.
It's a good new name for Brian.
Don't get used to it.
And so it's off to Germany, and you obviously wrestled, and you're pretty effective at it in high school.
Yeah, I was a one-time state champ up in Washington, Linwood. I went to Linwood High School, 1981. And
What
then,
weight did you wrestle at?
168. I grew after high school, much after graduation. And I thought wrestling, when I was getting married and had kids on the way and all that, I thought wrestling was done. Little did I know, in Europe, they had huge sports programs for morale for all the soldiers stationed over there, and wrestling was a big one. So I ended up winning a couple U.S. Army Europe championships in wrestling. That gave me a shot to try out for the All-Army Wrestling Team to compete against the other services. Little did I know that the Inter-Service Wrestling Championship is an Olympic qualifier. So I'm back on the trail, through the Army, wrestling to make the Olympic team, which was my early aspirations in wrestling as it was.
And you went as an alternate 3 times?
4 times, actually.
4 times.
Yeah, it was the one thing I did not achieve was making that Olympic team. I made the world team, which is basically the same process in a non-Olympic year 4 times. But in those Olympic years, especially in 92 and 96, I was the number 1 guy in my weight class. I think everybody expected me to make that Olympic team, and I managed to lose in the final match and not make the team. So,
what were you wrestling at weight-wise then?
90 kilos, which is 198 pounds.
Oh, so quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Did you have to cut weight to get there?
I cut a little bit of weight. I walked around about 207, 208, so it wasn't significant. It wasn't a lot. Now, when I was in the Army, I was cutting a lot of weight. The Army coach said, I want you for the All-Army team at 180, and I was wrestling 198. That was a lot of weight.
For any ladies who might be struggling with their dieting and such, how would one do that?
Well, the truth is a lot of that is water loss, weight loss. I mean, in a good practice, I'm losing between 7 and 9 pounds of water just in that 2-hour practice.
Damn.
The thing about that is that, yes, I'm burning a lot of calories and I could pretty much eat whatever I wanted. But this water weight, it's temporary. As soon as you start drinking, you rehydrate and you blow right back up to that original weight class.
Once you got to the UFC, you didn't have to make weight, right?
Back when I started, UFC 13, that was the first show where they had an alternate weight class. There was lightweights, which is anything under 200 pounds, and heavyweights is anything over 200 pounds. I was over 200 pounds, so I was a heavyweight then. It wasn't until years later that they implemented all the weight classes that we know now.
Right. And then for those who don't know, boxing is quite a bit lighter than the UFC. And I don't know if it's intentional or not, but like middleweight in boxing is, I don't know, 156 or something. And in UFC, it's like 175 or something.
Yeah, we call it middleweights 170.
Right.
Or welterweights is what we call that. Lightweight is 155 in MMA. The featherweight is 145. Yeah, the names for the weight classes in boxing and MMA don't jive at all.
I wonder if MMA did that intentionally. Because you'd think there was a kind of a scale that was laid out. It would be like saying, well, there's compact cars, and then there's mid-sized cars, and there's luxury cars, and then you started building cars, and you
did your own thing.
You went full Starbucks. Or like, there's no more small, medium, and large.
Yeah,
Starbucks is a good example. It's a point of differentiation that brands yourself, right?
It's also it's also kind of a little more realistic in that middle-sized guys, are 170 pounds now. They're not 147 or whatever they had in boxing. So UFC for you, was it scary, or was there so much wrestling in your background that it was undaunting?
It was a bit surreal for sure. I mean, walking out of that tunnel, people reaching over the fence trying to pull at your clothes, and I've never had that experience in a wrestling match. So it was definitely a surreal experience. And there was a little fear there. I wasn't quite sure what I'd gotten myself into. Those first 2 guys, and I fought twice that night. In that UFC 13, they were both huge guys. One was 300 pounds, and the other one was 290.
Wow!
So I'm looking at these guys, going, well, "What the hell did I get myself into here?" And yes, I relied heavily on my wrestling background. I took both those guys down immediately, and see what they can do from their back.
They, wrestling is, when the guys are fighting either in high school or college or in the Army or whatever it is, you go in pretty much weighing exactly the same as the other guy, because a lot of times you guys cut down to get to like 142 or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're going to hydrate back up, but then they're going to hydrate back up too.
Absolutely.
So you're not giving away 90 pounds to anybody in that arena, in that environment. You may be giving away 3 pounds or something, but you got to now deal with 90 pounds.
Yeah, much bigger guys, and you just have to approach them differently. Obviously, I was a smaller guy, so trying to use my mobility and speed to my advantage, make them move as much as possible, not just stand in front of a guy like that and try to go toe-to-toe. You're going to get your head knocked off.
Who you fought Brock Lesnar, right?
I fought Brock, yeah.
Now that guy's a big dude,
And he moves.
and he does wrestle.
Yeah, no, he was an NCAA champion for Minnesota. He was a very, very good wrestler. And I always knew when I matched up against another wrestler, that was going to negate some of my advantage that I used in my fighting style. And that's going to be interesting. How much of the other stuff have we learned? Brock is just a giant guy. How do you even get training partners in the gym to prepare for a guy like that? It was a big challenge.
Yeah, and in boxing, if you're going to fight a southpaw, then you just bring southpaws into the camp.
Sure.
But how do you replicate someone who's kind of one of one?
Well, and
Yeah.
according to the internet, he's 6'3" and 286.
Yeah, I think he was 290, 295 when he walked into the cage that night.
So I think he beat you, right?
Yeah, I lost the fight. He threw well, I don't think it was that particular one because I obviously picked that one off, but he threw a right hand that hit me right behind the ear and flashed me, knocked me on my can, and he came down on top of me. The sun disappeared for a minute or two, and the referee stopped the fight. But
As the great Mike Tyson would say, he punched you in your equilibrium. Because Mike has punched people, according to the post-fight.
most recently, a guy on an airplane, evidently.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
And he had it coming.
Yeah, God. Was it scary? Brock Lesnar would scare me.
I wasn't scared. I felt like I had a good chance at winning that fight. He hadn't made friends really with getting punched in the face yet. You saw that in some of his other fights. He kind of shied away from that part of the fight. I know when I hit him and you can see the blood on him, he kind of touched his eye like, oh my God, I'm bleeding. Like he couldn't believe he got hit. I had him up in the first round. It might have been a different night. Had he not grabbed the fence, he might have hit the ground, and would have been interesting to see.
You're not supposed to grab the fence.
See him fight from his back and how he would have done there.
Sorry, is that illegal? And
You're not allowed to grab the fence.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so people kind of grab the fence, and they'll also put their toes around it sometimes. They'll kind of push off or stay steady or whatever. It's frowned upon, but they really don't do anything other than they'll
If you
slap your
link
hand.
your fingers in or your toes in, they will warn you, and then they'll only warn you once, and then they'll take a point away, which can make a big difference in a round.
Well, then you got to go full hockey plexiglass to see what happens.
I think in the early days when they were trying to figure out what venue or way to contain the athletes, I think they thought about plexiglass, and the problem is you're going to sweat and bleed all over it, and then it's just going to smear and you can't
Smudge
see
fest.
it. Chain link turned out to be the best option to contain the athletes.
Yeah, it's illegal because anyone knows when you're getting the shit beat out of you in a schoolyard and you grab onto the fence and turn your back.
Unfair.
The momentum swings immediately
Yeah, you're a
in your
superhero.
favor. Yeah, I know, but it's still an advantage, and you probably rocked him enough that he probably would have gone down if he didn't steady himself there.
Would have been interesting. I had him up against the fence, had him in a high single, had him teetering. He was going to fall, and he locked both of his hands into the cage and kept from going down. And, it happens. You used to be able to grab the fence. I mean, in the early days, even UFC 13, you saw guys like Tank Abbott. He would get a guy on the ground and he would link his fingers into the chain link and then bring his forearm across their neck and trap their head there. So he could proceed to punch them in the face.
Come on, Tank.
repeatedly.
Well,
But it was illegal. I mean, it was allowed then. It wasn't an illegal move. You could grab the fence back then. And
you could grab the ponytail, which was always my favorite.
Yeah.
It was a kind of a sport where you had to sort of go. You had to treat it like early aviation, which is like put the plane in the air. We'll see when they come down and they break apart, then we'll figure out what's wrong with the plane.
There's the
God.
takedown right there.
And he's hanging on. So it's like there's no way to figure all this out in advance. We'll just let them fight. And if we see too much fence grabbing, we'll go, okay, there's a rule.
Yeah.
And if we see too much ponytail grabbing, we'll go, okay, there's another rule.
That's
but at
exactly
the beginning,
right.
it was pretty Wild West.
No, that's
right?
exactly right. Every show, there seemed to be a new rule they would add. They wouldn't give you any time, like before camp, to train for that rule. You'd show up at the event and like, oh, well, here's the rules we're using this time.
Was there no kicking in the head or kicking when the guy had his hands on the ground when you started, which is a rule now?
No, it was a rule that came after. When I
Right.
started, you could literally soccer kick a guy or knee a guy in the head. Obviously, those types of rules, like you were saying, came show by show. They just ran towards regulation, ran towards trying to make it acceptable visually to the powers that be, honestly. And
What were the rules when you started?
4 rules back then: no biting, no eye gouging, no fish hooking, and no groin striking.
Fish hooking's the mouth.
Fish hooking
They
is a
still-
cut. Somebody gets a cut, you could stick your
Finger in.
finger
Full
in
joker
that.
on 'em.
That's a fish hook as well. But a common fish hook from catch wrestling is to go inside the mouth, and you go where your head goes.
They
So-
still allow smothering.
Yes, you can still cover his mouth, nose and mouth.
Wait, so the last guy to stop breathing when?
What, you mean like a
Well,
mother-in-law
nobody's
kind of
going to
thing?
lay there and let you choke them out by covering their mouth. But if you want him to move, to make an adjustment, cover his mouth. He wants to breathe, so
Or maybe he's a
gonna-
little too
he's gonna
chatty.
adjust.
It's not the
Stop
time for
whispering in
pillow
my
talk.
ear.
Yeah.
So they had, when you started, they just had a couple of basic groin strikes, I guess.
Yeah, groin strikes were illegal. I think the original version of the show, there were only a couple of rules: no eye gouging, and groin strikes were allowed in some of those early shows. You can find videos of. I think there's a guy named Joe Don that got repeatedly smashed in the cup during the fight, and it was perfectly legal.
Joe Don, and who was doing
Gosh,
the
I
cup
can't remember.
bashing?
I think it was Big Daddy. He's a great big guy from Canada that was a very good fighter. He fought in Pride as well.
Idi
I'm trying to think of his last name. I just know him as Big Daddy.
Fighting in
Big
Pride.
Daddy Goodrich. Gary
Fighting-
Goodrich.
Fighting in Pride sounds like you're fighting in the gay
That's
league.
right.
That's what I thought. It's Pride Month, so
Crushed
maybe
him.
there's a show I wasn't aware of.
Crushed a parade.
Right.
Yeah, and who was the toughest guy you ever dealt with?
They were all tough. I mean, they all forced you to do work and learn things to solve the problem, because each one of those guys standing across the cage was a problem, and you had to figure out how to solve that. The toughest fight I was ever in was the first time I fought Pedro Hizzo. That was a 5-round brawl. First time in Atlantic City. Fought at the Taj Mahal. Back and forth battle. I won 3 rounds. He won 2. He broke my nose. Kicked me in the leg about 14 times. I did not walk right for 6 weeks after that fight.
What kind of purses are we talking about now versus back in the day? Because there's some pretty good sized fights coming up.
Yeah,
they don't
and-
quite. They didn't make it up to boxing, but now boxing has fallen down quite a bit, and UFC has captured the imagination.
Yeah. It's an individual thing. There's those top 2 or 3, maybe 4% of guys that are at that level where they're maybe getting a share of their pay-per-view, and their numbers are in 6 figures per fight. But after that, it drops off pretty significantly. 15 and 15, 30 and 30 for some of those mid and low tier fighters.
$1,000.
Yes, per fight.
But so the big guys aren't making, buku in UFC these days?
My understanding is the highest paid guy so far in MMA, and this was before he went and boxed Mayweather, was
Conor
McGregor. And this rumor, and I don't know this, I didn't see the contract, but I think he was making about $5 million a fight.
And where are we at with the heavyweight division?
Francis is still the champ. They haven't stripped him yet, but I think that's coming.
Why?
Well, he just injured his knee, so they're going to do an interim championship, which I think they may have already done. To they can say there's a title fight going on to sell more pay-per-views.
Did Francis win or lose his last fight?
He won.
Oh, I thought for some reason
I believe he won.
against the French guy.
Or maybe he did lose. I can't remember.
I got to figure if Francis won his last. He wasn't a favorite, which is bizarre. He fought a guy. Everyone is so big and skilled.
He
now.
might have lost that
I'm saying he
one.
beat
I'm
Cyril
trying to
Gane in
remember.
January.
Oh, he beat him.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's still the champ,
Yeah.
and I don't know who the big thing is. And then I don't know what's going on with sort of stunt fights now, where Tyson Fury is going to do
these
boxing
crossover-
with this
Yeah,
crossover.
these
Is going to
crossover
fight
thrillers.
some TikTok star.
Really Logan Paul, Jake Paul.
Logan, I mean, look, there's paydays
Yeah.
and there's appetite.
Yeah.
People like the novelty of it.
Yeah, Jake Paul, the Trillers, the
Right.
crossover fights. You're seeing some MMA guys foray into boxing now. Anderson Silva doing that very, very well. Vitor Belfort, pretty successful fight against Evander Holyfield. I mean, there's been some interesting fights that way. And then you got Jake Paul, who's obviously the YouTube sensation that's now trying to make a name for himself in boxing, and he's shining a bright light on the disparaging difference in pay between boxers and MMA fighters.
Yeah, I'm imagine MMA. There's going to be a lag between popularity and payday because I feel like MMA is bigger just than boxing at this point, but the pay is lagging.
It hasn't caught
The
up.
big issue is transparency. In 1996, they passed the Muhammad Ali Act, which created federal legislation to protect boxers from promoters. and create transparency in that sport. And now they have to disclose exactly how much money they made on every event. How are you supposed to negotiate your fair value in the marketplace if nobody knows how much money was made on that event you fought on?
Right.
And that's what the legislation basically forced them to do, was disclose all that information, eliminate the restrictive contracts that they were making them sign. And those practices are still going on in MMA. So the big push has been in the last few years I've been lobbying with the MMAFA, Mixed Martial Arts Fighters Association, going to Congress, trying to get the Muhammad Ali Act, the federal legislation, amended, just the definition from boxing to combative sports athlete. And then there's some other details in there like rounds and stuff, because MMA rounds are different than boxing rounds, that they would have to tweak and adjust too, but it's a pretty simple fix. Yeah. Give us the same transparency that boxers are enjoying. That's why Mayweather can represent himself and make $100 million a fight, because he's his own promoter.
Right.
That's never going to fly in MMA. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's very opaque, MMA. Every time you talk about money, even people have been there for a million years ago. I got no idea what that guy's getting paid or this guy's getting paid. Where, NFL, NBA, Mayweather, everyone kind of got the news.
And the difference is they have players associations that collective bargain and get minimum criterias, minimum standards, health, 401ks, that sort of thing. Across the board, every other professional sport in our society has that.
So
except for MMA.
So in MMA, you're always basically an independent contractor.
We are, which is why the union model doesn't really work, because we're all 1099 employees. So like the SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, that model would work. A players association would work. That's not a union model. So
how's your
fight actors?
How's the activity?
Bad.
Yeah, nice.
MMAFA, Mixed Martial Arts Fighters Association.
Or that's better. That's better. Yeah, you're right.
How's business at your gyms?
Going very well. Yeah.
I was going to ask, not from a financial standpoint, but from a sociological standpoint, because Dr. Drew would always say to me, "What's next? What's going on? Where's this country heading?" He'd say to me all the time, because I have a crystal brain. And I said, heading into safe spaces and octagons. That's every person that buys a Prius, someone's buying a Jeep and putting a lift kit on it. And I see it. When you travel around in Los Angeles, it's either a Tesla or something with knobby tires and a winch and a brush guard on it. Like, we're just going hard. We used to kind of live in the middle. It's like, oh, yeah, you're a huge Trump fan, you hate Trump. We used to be like politicians, I don't know, it's okay, whatever. You hate it, you love it. So I imagine that, for every kid that gets pulled out of Pop Warner football because it's too dangerous and they get put into soccer, there's 2 kids heading over to your gym.
To the MMA gym, yes.
Right?
The kids programs have been the fastest growing part of the gym. I think in 2005, when The Ultimate Fighter came on Spike TV, and people saw behind the scenes and saw what goes into this sport and the caliber and character of the athletes, it changed the landscape for the sport. The female viewership went through the roof, because then they're seeing all these hot, sweaty guys running around, and they're not crazy, they're not criminals. And when it became okay for mom and dad to like and watch MMA, then it was okay to put Junior and their daughters into those grappling classes and those MMA classes.
You must see a lot more women or girls coming in these days than you did in the past as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gina Grad was the queen of MMA for a long time there, and then Ronda Rousey picked up that mantle. Now there are several others, Misha Tate, Kayla Harrison. There are several other females that are carrying that very well. Amanda Nunes is one. There are a lot of them out there that are really, really making a mark in the sport. And I think it's important that we have a female counterpart to our sport. Wrestling especially is one of those sports that got decimated by Title IX through the 80s and 90s. We lost hundreds and hundreds of programs in the name of gender equity, making sure that the ratios were right. And rather than do the hard thing and raise money to create women's programs, they just cut men's programs. It was easier.
Well,
I know nothing ever works. All these plans of like, hey, we need more equity, blah blah blah. It always ends up turning into a shit show. It never works. The government can't. They're it's always the unintended consequence. They have this thing where it's like, we're gonna get rid of the nuclear power and the coal power and the gas power. We're going to win.
No.
It's like, all right. Well, gas is fucking $7 a gallon out here. That's how it works.
And we're enjoying another blackout.
We'll get our shit from the worst regions in the world ever, and we'll just pay for their oil.
Well, and you've said before, talk about an appetite, and I think Adam's a good example, someone who's really into athletics and combat stuff, boxing, that you at first were just like, I don't want to see women hit each other. Like it's a visceral, I have a bad reaction to it, and we're getting used
now
to
I get a boner.
That's right. That was exactly where I was going.
Come a long way.
That's just outside the club.
Now we're all in.
Yeah.
Which is great. If
Does
if
Misha
they're
Tate?
good.
Wait, no. Who does the dance? Who does the jig? What
No,
female?
I don't think that's Misha.
No, that's not Misha Tate. Oh God, blonde girl. She's got a big one coming up.
Shevchenko? Is it the Russian
Yes,
gal? Shevchenko
yes,
does the little Russian dance.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's got a big fight coming up. She does this great kind of jig at the end of her fight.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, Chris will find it. Yeah, it's now, I don't know, big UFC card coming up with, it's not all female, but the
Right.
females are the headliners, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, Shannon Knapp created Invictus, which is the only female MMA promotion that's all female, and there's a lot of great gals coming out of that, and it's allowing depth in the women's divisions that we didn't have before, which I think has been very important.
And they're getting a lot more skilled. The skill level wasn't there.
Yeah, the passion was there. A lot of times they were fight of the night because they're wide open. It's like they had something else to prove besides just going out and winning a fight. And now I think the skill level's caught up. Their commitment and passion was always there.
All right, we should talk about Blowback. Tell us about this movie. Yeah, Valentina Shevchenko. Chris will find her doing a jig. Just for, I don't know, Gina, you'll probably
I would
enjoy
love it. And that's funny because when you said, they had the passion, but they didn't have the skill, they didn't have
Hold it, Chris. Hang on.
You're always put in
definitely
dance.
Hold it for Gina.
Girls are always put in dance, no matter what. We're all put in dance class. And I imagine that's also very common in Russian culture. You're always put in dance.
Yeah.
So I love that this is part of it.
Here she is.
Oh, yeah, definitely the Russian.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's.
Valentina Shevchenko celebrated her win over Juliana Pena Saturday night.
That's real. That's like real dancing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Pretty good.
Where are you at? Where are you at with celebration after the fight? Poor taste, good taste. Like
Showboating.
I was watching some UFC the other day. The guy was down on the ground. He was knocked out, and the other guy was kind of leaning over him,
Taunting over him.
Still taunting over him.
Yeah, see, I think there's a line there in sportsmanship, and that's what martial arts stands for. I just hope that never changes. But look what gets rewarded. The guy who does the best publicity stunts, Conor McGregor throwing hand trucks through bus windows and stuff like that. That's the stuff that's getting rewarded. The most smack talk, that sort of thing. They're elevating that all to a whole new level, and I think it detracts from the sport. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, it works. It works at all levels. It works in show business. It works comedians. I mean, it's weird. It's you think about many big names just in the NFL who Chad Ochocinco and guys like that, Terrell Owens and stuff. They make a whole thing out of their thing, and then they end up getting paid.
Yeah, and a guy like Andre Johnson, for example, just kind of flies under the radar. Same skill level, you could argue a little more, a little less, but those guys got reality shows, or those guys, they're known for whatever reason.
So let's talk about Blowback. When you do a movie, how involved are you in the script and the production and that facet of it?
It all comes down to the script for me. I want to read the script and see the story and see the characters and the arc of the character they want me to play and how he fits in and all those things. That's what's important to me. As far as the promotion part, the production part of it, that's out of my wheelhouse. Now, this last year in 2021, I was an executive producer for the first time and put some of my own skin in the game. And that movie's getting ready to be delivered on Paramount Plus here pretty soon. It was an action-adventure kind of a supernatural thriller that was a lot of fun called Dark Angels, The Demon Pit. But that's the first time I've gotten involved in the real production and, where you're starting to worry about everybody else doing their job right, not just doing your own job right.
Well, if you walk on a set, people should start doing their job.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
But if they don't, it's not your problem. If it's the actor, if the executive producer, it's your problem.
Yeah.
And
all I got to worry about is me most of the time.
on speaking of sets, we got the Expendables. So the fourth one's coming out, right?
Yeah, fourth one's in post now. We just finished last December. We shot in London, Bulgaria, and Greece, Thessaloniki, Greece for that one. It was a lot of fun. It went really well.
I lived in Thessaloniki.
Oh, really?
That's so random. Yeah, that's amazing. It's beautiful,
yeah,
right?
beautiful place.
It's a little bit off the beaten path.
It's one of the
Speaking of
biggest port
beating.
cities in that region.
Yeah.
Listen, I love Expendables. I love all the Stallone vehicles, even the car racing ones. Oh God. Driven. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
I just love. I don't know. I enjoy them for a multitude of reasons. Not all are good. It's like some guys are into some different kinds of pornography.
Sure.
They're not proud of it, but it just works for
You
them.
enjoy certain kinds of Stallone movies and porn, ironically.
That's right. So
There you go.
I'm down. I'll tell you what. I'm a sucker. I don't know if the airplane's coming back, but I'm a sucker for airplanes. And he's got had the big cannon on the front of the thing.
Oh,
It's kind
yeah.
of his thing in the second one. I maybe got shot down in the third. I can't.
There's
I can't
some
remember.
airplane in this one.
Oh, good.
Yeah, definitely. We got to have transportation. We go to all these exotic places. You got to get there somehow.
Is Sly? Is he doing a lot of directing or sort of armchair directing, or how involved?
Scott Waugh directed this one. Sly was certainly there on set, and he always has a presence, and if there's a one-liner that needs to be put in or some scene needs a little bit, he's the guy they're going to go to for sure, and Scott definitely did that.
He's ultimately the boss, Sylvester
And
Stallone.
he created this intellectual property when he wrote the first one, just like a lot of the other projects that he's connected to. He's amazing. He's a very smart man.
I don't know if you know this, but who we have, every iteration gets someone fun or more people fun added to the cast.
Yeah.
Who can we look forward
Well,
to
we
this
stripped it
time?
back. The four originals, me, Statham, Lundgren, and Stallone, are the only four original Expendables left. And then we added 50 Cent, Megan Fox,
right.
Andy Garcia,
Now we're talking.
Tony Jai was in this one. Icky was in this one, from The Tower or The Raid.
Oh wait.
The Raid. I love The Raid.
I might be
is it a
be
Hong Kong
confusing
movie?
Tony Jai's movies and his movies,
Oh,
but
God.
they're both amazing martial artists. They're fantastic.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Oh, so and this thing's coming out later in the year.
I haven't heard a release date for it yet. I know it's in post, but I haven't heard any speculation on a date
I
when
wonder
it's going
how
to come out.
involved Stallone is in post.
I wonder too. I'm sure in the first one he was heavily involved because he wrote it and he directed it. So I'm sure he was there for every piece of that. And I know there was a director's cut of the first one that was 11 minutes longer than the theatrical version, had a little bit different soundtrack, and I actually liked the director's cut. It was amazing.
Is this his fourth franchise?
Oh, after Rocky and Rambo and what else would there be?
Oh, I guess I was thinking of Creed, but that's just kind of
That's
an
still more
extension
Rocky
of
universe, yeah.
Rocky. But
Yeah.
it is kind of like 3.5.
But 3 franchises is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
To have created, I don't know if he created, or obviously Rambo he didn't, but yeah, to be responsible essentially for 3 franchises is wild.
I don't think he quite gets his due. I just feel like I don't know. Maybe he's like a Kardashian.
Oh boy,
just
do tell.
Yeah, look, when I first saw the Kardashians, I was like, oh, get these bitches out of here. They'll be one and done, And then at a certain point, you go, they work so
an
they work
empire.
hard. Yeah, they're entrepreneurial. they bust their humps. 3 of them are over the $1 billion mark or whatever it is.
One of
And
them
I-
passed the bar.
Yeah, like at a certain point, you hang out long enough, you do enough, and you
Yeah.
go, fuck that. Stallone, I love Stallone, and I love that when he talks, he punches his open hand. I don't know if he does that. Does he do that with you, Randy? Because I think he might just do it in front of lesser men.
He loves fighting, especially boxing, but he loves MMA too. So he gets the head moving when we start talking. And
I should correct myself, or at least say that Stallone is listed as a co-writer on the original First Blood. So,
Yeah.
so you could
did
argue
it.
that he has spawned or helped spawn 3 hugely successful franchises.
yeah,
The first Blood was like an unplugged version of a band you like a little stripped down, a little more acoustic, very satisfying, not the big and way over the top, kind of
stage show.
Kind of gritty and smaller and very satisfying.
That's definitely one that got my attention because it was filmed in my home state of Washington, up in Hope, Washington on the Olympic Peninsula. So it was the terrain, the rain, the fog, all the stuff that Rambo had to endure running around in the woods there. I was very used to.
Yeah, it also was one of the earlier, although not the first, but every movie where a guy knocks a guy off a motorcycle and hops on it, the guy rides the fucking thing like Travis Pastrana. Now, they don't own a motorcycle. They're always like on foot walking through town, and they don't weave it in like, hey, my old motocross days. I didn't roll that way. But at some point, they jump on a foreign bike. And within the first 6 feet, they're riding a crossed up wheelie down the street. It's like, you don't know whose bike this is. You know what the gear, you know what the shift pattern is on this thing? They're always riding. And then they're catching air over the train tracks, and they're locking up the rear and sliding into the woods. It's like, Jesus Christ. Everybody who nobody commandeers a motorcycle and goes, which side's the clutch?
What do we got here?
They fucking haul ass. And they're running at 10/10ths, and they're wheeling and they're jumping. That's quite a scene.
Yep.
And it's just, was that where you grew up in that
I grew up there in Linwood, yeah.
A lot of guys on motorcycles just flying by.
On each other's motorcycles?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that part, but I did grow up on a motorcycle for sure.
You know what would be realistic and a fair bit of turnabout, too, is you never see anyone commandeer a motorcycle and then have someone take it from them.
Oh, boy.
It would only be fair to see someone else running out of a liquor store. The first guy took it from the second. Yeah. Just thinking. Just tell Stallone, maybe funny, winking an eye.
Spitballing.
There you go. Do you ever give any notes to him? Do you go like, I think my character would say, or not say?
No, it always comes the other way. He's like, you know what? It makes more sense for you to say that. And why don't you say this? And, he's just so good that way. With the dialogue.
Escape Plan has 3 movies out, too.
Oh, where he's in prison and
yeah.
I wonder if he wrote that one, the first one, or
Expendables got 4. Man, it's the guy. I've interviewed him before, and he says he thinks of himself as a writer. He just gets up and writes every day, and we don't think of him that way. But
I think of myself as an astronaut.
That's right. But he writes all day, every day. I think that's his thing. All right, let me tell you about Tommy John, and then we'll roll into some news over here. Summer is heating up. It's melting your ice cubes down there. Stay frosty where it counts, and brand new Tommy John underwear. When you're that much cooler, you do everything that much better. Breathable, lightweight fabric with 4 times the stretch of competing brands. Moisture-wicking fabric. Keeps you 2 to 3 times cooler and dries 4 to 5 times faster than regular cotton. Tommy John keeps you cool all season long. So if you're lounging around the home or you're getting into some summer fun, you need yourself some Tommy John. Tommy John doesn't have customers. They have fanatics. Over 17 million pairs sold. I'm wearing mine now. Everyone here wears their Tommy Johns. It's just the best. And it's the best pair you'll ever wear. Or it's free. Guaranteed. Am I right, Dawson?
Shop TommyJohn.com/Adam right now for 20% off your first order. Get 20% off right now at TommyJohn.com/Adam. TommyJohn.com/Adam. See site for details.
All right, we'll take a break. Randy Couture will hang out with us, and we'll do some news right after this.
Well, one of those stories that we have collectively been tweeted a billion times in the last few days, we definitely need to talk about. Swimming's world governing body, FINA, F-I-N-A, acronym, voted on Sunday to restrict the participation of transgender athletes in elite women's competitions, but they've decided to create an open category for them in some other events. The new policy will require transgender competitors to have completed their transition by the age of 12 to be able to compete in women's competitions. The spokesperson for FINA says this is not saying that people are encouraged to transition by the age of 12 or, hurry up the process. It's what scientists are saying, that if you transition after the start of puberty, you have an advantage, which is unfair. The regulations would have a major impact on the career of Leah Thomas, who we've talked about, who earlier this year became the first openly transgender woman to win an NCAA Division I women's swimming title. Leah very upset about this policy. She said it's deeply upsetting. It's discriminatory and will only serve to harm all women.
Cry me an Olympic-sized pool.
And it's not just swimming. Meanwhile, the International Cycling Union is also reevaluating their rules for this as well.
Leah had her junk, right? I mean,
know.
the discussion is weird. Was like transvestite was a thing, then transsexual meant something different, and then I think I was trying to explain to my son what a cross-dresser was versus
he's probably
a
not familiar with that
transsexual,
term.
and it's like we had some categories carved out so we could kind of picture what was happening. Now nobody knows because we've decided just to call everyone who identifies as a woman as a woman, so we're not really sure where they're at. Also, I heard oh God, I almost said Bruce Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner talking about this.
Oh, okay.
Caitlyn has worked on everything but the voice, really. The voice, at least maybe at the beginning. I think now Caitlyn's just like, my voice. I'm not dolling it up.
Yeah. Well, we can always check in with her.
Yeah.
We have those powers.
That's right.
Speaking of nomenclature, I feel like Gina would know it. If not Gina, certainly Randy. Why is drag called drag?
I don't know.
God damn it. Randy,
Sorry.
it's on you, buddy.
Because the dresses usually drag on the floor.
I love it.
That's good.
I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's all, I don't know, the obsession with drag queens. I don't get it. I can't.
Everybody stop. I
can't
You're
imagine.
absolutely right.
Wow.
Did you make that up or did you know that already?
It just came to my head. I'd never heard it before, but
That's exactly what. Their petticoats would drag on the floor.
Wow.
Okay.
See that?
Sorry. You go on.
Oh, look.
Breaking news.
The ultimate renaissance.
Randy has
man.
bested me on a subject I thought I was an absolute expert at.
Yeah. MMA heavyweight comes in here and schools you up on drag queens.
And my favorite form of entertainment. I am so ashamed.
What do you know about the musical Pippin?
Oh no! If you
Let's see if
sing
we can
Corner
keep
of the
this
Sky, I'm
going.
gonna freak out.
All right.
Anyway, so yeah, this is puberty based, and they're basically saying if you've already got a flush of testosterone, then that's going to create an unfair
I hope
competitive
it's not
advantage.
going to. There is a thing. There wasn't a thing when I was a kid, but maybe Randy knows better than I do. There's a thing now that if your kid's an athlete, wants to play football, for instance, and your birthdays, like my kids' birthdays are June 7th. So I could have worked to try to get them back a grade so they could be more physically strong.
They'll do that themselves.
Yeah, turns out not so much. But there's a whole thing that, if you were born, I don't know, after June 1st or something, a lot of parents will go, there's a big difference when you play football or wrestle or whatever between your 11th grade and 12th grade. I mean, it's like 20 pounds of muscle if you're trying to pack it on.
check out the book by Malcolm Gladwell, The Outliers.
Yeah,
literally what I
It
was
talks
just typing
exactly about that. Kids had made the cutoff,
Yep.
and now the other kids had to wait a full year before they're getting that level of professional coaching. They'll kind of travel, all those sorts of things, and it could be just a week. They missed that date by a week, and it makes that big a difference in their abilities to compete as they move forward.
Holding back your kid intentionally for athletic dominance or advantage, that's been a common practice for a long time. I remember when I was in college in the 90s, there were USC football players. You're like, I normally would be in this grade, but on this level or whatever.
Well, maybe at the elite level. I mean, they're going to end up at the elite level. It wasn't something that was discussed when I was playing football, but now it's a thing.
Sure. Game the system.
I don't know when it is, about mid-June or something, or
I don't know either, but think about for every kid that gets that scholarship or plays big-time football or hockey or whatever, there's got to be 100, 1,000 other kids whose parents tried that and failed. They just weren't good enough.
Well, how about the fact there was always the one older kid in like high school that turned 18 at the beginning of the year. You can write your own fucking notes.
Oh, sure.
How about
You're your
that?
own guardian.
Just walk around with your
Please
pants around
excuse
your
me.
ankles telling everyone to kiss your ass.
That's
'Cause
right.
You literally sign your own shit.
That's right.
Imagine the ability
Oh
to
my
just
God.
sign everything when you were in high school. All
Dude,
the-
I turned 18 a week or two into my freshman year in college, so that would have been a dream.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe
The
Chris
cutoff
can,
now is September, not for school.
Yeah, because my stepson's, he's a year after everyone else. He's going into second grade and he's not even 7 yet. So, but I don't think we're going to have any sports advantages that I'm aware of just yet.
Yeah,
Let's say Andy doing that jump shot.
That's right.
my son turned out to be
What's the word? A surprise.
He's doing his own thing. Yeah,
Free spirit.
yeah, free spirit.
That's right. That's right.
Hard to mold.
Well, let's talk about Adam's absolute favorite sport.
Like a wild stallion who's on the sofa playing video games.
Right.
You know what I
He
mean?
can be tamed.
No need.
Eminently
He
tameable.
came pre-tamed. He was broken out of the womb.
That's right.
When the water broke, he was broken.
Well, traffic is about to get worse here in LA in a couple years, and we will have soccer to thank for it.
Oh,
Yeah, NPR reports that 4 summers from now, 48 countries will vie for the 2026 World Cup as the tournament is staged in cities across the United States, Canada, Mexico, and we're one of them. So here we go. It's Vancouver, Seattle, San Francisco, LA here at SoFi, Guadalajara, Mexico, Kansas City, Dallas, Atlanta, Houston, Monterrey, Mexico, Mexico City, Toronto, Boston, Philadelphia, Miami, and New York, New Jersey.
if you either, when a big event comes to your town, like Olympics or World Cup, if you either have to start making plans to clean up the trash, the
boy.
homeless, or the air,
Yeah.
stop now and just think, wait a minute, maybe this would be good on non-World Cup
Yeah,
years.
for the people who
what
live
I mean?
here.
The folks that are walking through the trash with the homeless, breathing the shitty air, maybe let's go ahead and do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So now actually you're pro.
Kind of,
Yeah.
it does. They do tend to, at least they like to clean it up from the airport to the venue.
They kick all the stuff under the bed when the
for
guests are coming
folks,
over.
For the folks that own homes between LAX and SoFi, you will be rewarded with
Yes.
a garbage pickup and a homeless rake.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you on soccer, Randy?
It's actually one of my favorite sports.
Oh, we love it too. We're big fans.
It was my first sport at 5 years old. I started
Really?
playing soccer, yeah.
You're too old for soccer, aren't you?
Please.
It was so fringy back then. Oh, maybe that's a Washington thing.
It could have been. Could have been.
Was
a
somebody
Washington
worried
thing,
about
so-
you getting injured?
No, I don't ever remember hearing that.
So you played soccer,
Yeah, that was my first sport.
and were you good at it?
Well, I did all right.
When did you transition, or did you?
I
speaking of
never
Bruce?
did, really. I played every year, all through high school.
Oh, wow.
Played on a team in the Army a little bit on my free time. Actually, we had an indoor team with my MMA team in Vegas. We played an indoor soccer league in Vegas quite a few years back now. But
We didn't have. I don't even know if my high school had a soccer team.
I don't know if ours did either. But in Kansas City, the Comets were
Oh,
huge.
yeah.
I mean, you were a huge celebrity if you were on the Comets indoor soccer. So I think that was like a big 80s thing, at least for us.
Would you do it when you did it in high school? Were people in the stands? Did it draw?
it wasn't terribly popular, no.
Good.
Family, maybe some friends, but certainly not crowds.
I cannot watch soccer. But let me just explain. I come from a group of European-loving pseudo-intellectuals that never want to talk about, like, in Europe, this is what they eat dinner topless and drink red wine when they're
10 p.m.
in their teens and
Right.
stuff. And somehow they love Europe, but
Yeah.
they don't go there. They just worship it
Right.
from afar. And when soccer came around, they were like, that you got to play soccer, because I played football. And I was like, I'm not giving up these pads. It was too fun.
We just
the
want you to
hitting,
play football.
the helmets and everything. And they were like, in Europe. So I rejected soccer. I'm like, I'm not going to get involved with that, and get away from me, crazy European loving communists. Get out of my face. So it was foisted on me, and I rejected it early. But
It's
maybe if
personal.
I came about it in a more organic
Right.
way, I could have appreciated it. Probably
And
not.
I think
but-
at least at the highest level of soccer, they need a little infusion of MMA. They got to stop taking falls and
Yeah.
hamming it up, rolling around on the
Flopping.
ground. You know,
You ever
Just play the game. If somebody knocks you down, they better well hit you to knock you down, for crying out loud.
You ever try to nurse a cup shot? Because MMA, the guys will get kicked in the inner thigh if he's getting beat up a little, and then do the he hit me in the nuts.
Sure.
And
Yeah, I never bought that. Some guys ham that up too, in my opinion.
it's the only.
We wear a cup every day
You
at
wear a
practice.
cup.
Get cup checked all the time, and you don't act like that in practice. So why are you acting that way in the match?
It's like the only piece of protection you're wearing out there is a cup, like
and a mouth,
a
gum shield,
mouthpiece.
mouthpiece. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what guys will do is they'll go, oh, I got kicked in the nuts, but I didn't get kicked in the nuts, but I was getting my ass kicked, but I could use a little breather.
Yeah.
And then the rule is take as much time as you want.
No, 5 minutes.
Or is it 5?
5
Oh,
minutes.
boy.
Yeah. If the referee calls it. And
5 is
sees
going to
it as
feel
a
like an
correction.
eternity, and somebody,
And that's the length of a whole round. You're basically getting a whole round to sit there, rest, and recover.
nobody takes it the full 5.
Usually.
No, rarely have I seen someone take the full 5, and this is why.
The times it does happen, they legitimately got pinched or seriously hit. Like,
Right.
It wasn't just checking the cup. There was more involved there, for sure.
So the reason we need to honk at people who are trying to turn left from the middle lane and go, oh, fuck, I missed my...
Right.
And then we gotta
Half in,
honk 'em.
half out.
Because if you got hit in the nuts and you're in the MMA, right in the middle of an MMA fight, anything longer than about 30 seconds feels like an eternity. And if you make it to 1 minute... Chrissy's going to throw a chair at you from the third row. Like, you couldn't tell that arena, go out and take a piss, grab a beer. We'll do 5.
We got time.
5.
Yeah.
Everyone would be booing at some point. Like, there's so much pressure to get back on.
See, I had a different mentality about that. I didn't want that guy resting. I may have gotten kicked in the groin, but I don't want to stop and give him time to recover too, because that's part of my job is to make him work harder than he wants to work. And me taking a 5-minute break is not going to help that endeavor. So,
Yeah, like they're getting rewarded
Right,
too.
so
yeah,
you're-
he's
I mean,
resting
but
too.
your
I'm
game-
going to suck it up and keep going here because I want to keep working on this guy and making him tired.
Yeah, I mean, you but a lot of your game was conditioning
Attrition,
and
absolutely.
attrition and making the other guy,
Not want to be there anymore.
Not want to be there. Okay, sorry, Gina.
Well, we have some Paul Haggis news that might have a very interesting twist, a little plot twist. So stay with me. You know who Paul Haggis is. He wrote and directed Crash, which was Best Picture in 2006. He wrote $1 Million Baby. You've seen him.
Expendables 3, I
That's
think,
exactly right. Well, he's been arrested in Italy for sexual assault. This is according to multiple reports. TMZ reports that the local media says the Oscar-winning filmmaker was busted Sunday.
Well, what do you got to do to get arrested for sexual assault in Italy? I mean, that's a calorie burner.
That's exactly right. And I'm going to tell you what he may have done.
San Francisco maybe, but Italy,
Right.
that you got to work.
That's right.
Bar's high.
So that he was accused of forcing an unidentified, not Italian woman, like somebody visiting, to have sex with him over the course of 2 days. He's in town for a new film festival happening this weekend. It's called Allora or Iora Fest. So the woman was then taken to the airport by Haggis after he allegedly assaulted her, left her in this state of confusion, per law enforcement. The alleged victim is said to have been attended to by the airport staff. They took her to the hospital. She eventually pressed charges against Haggis. He's been accused of sexual misconduct by several other women over the past few years. He's denied all of them. Here's the plot twist, possible plot twist. The allegations come more than 4 years after Leah Remini, of course, outspoken actress, outspoken against Scientology, backed Haggis as he faced these previous allegations, with both suggestions that the Church of Scientology may have been behind these accusations, according to Newsweek. Haggis was an active member in Scientology for 35 years. In 2009, he left the church at the time, famous for a very famous member to speak out against its policies. We've heard tell that they may try to ruin things for you if you
Did
leave.
he make the documentary with her going clear?
I don't remember him in it. Do you?
I don't like the fact that every Johnny Come Lately is a fucking hero for speaking out against Scientology when I was in a microphone in a syndicated show after being threatened by Scientology in like 1992 7.
Oh, you folded like a folding chair.
Everyone told me they were the height of their powers, and they were going to destroy you if you said anything about them. And I went right on the air and said all the worst things I could possibly say about it. And then 20 years later, Leah pops up and like, oh, she's a hero.
Paul Haggis was featured in that documentary, directed by Alex Gibney.
Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, we take stuff like this really seriously, but it's an interesting little note to inject at the end because we've also heard that they are punitive.
To me, if I hear a bunch of allegations, I'm tend to be swayed.
Sure.
But conversely, if you can put together 25, 40 years of no allegations, I will factor that in too.
Sure.
I won't put you back to zero.
Yeah.
I'll go, this guy's been bopping around Hollywood since the early 80s and no one said a thing, and now someone is saying something. I do the same thing.
Then again, how long was Bill Cosby bopping around Hollywood before someone said something?
Well, the thing about Bill, at least from guys I knew who like represented him and whatever, that stuff was all known and unspoken.
Got it.
So people in the industry knew it. They just didn't say anything.
They want to get involved.
Yeah, I mean, Weinstein had to be the same. Like everyone had to know what that guy was up to.
People covering for him and warning people, and
it was sort of a version of being gay. Like, oh, we know that guy's gay, but in the 50s or something, we're not going to say anything.
Right.
It's his business, or whatever it is. It's like we wouldn't out you that way, good or bad.
Right.
It was just like that's their business. I'm not going to be the one. And also, like Scientology, having your career ruined versus being hailed as a hero, it's a little bit different motivation. I mean, if you really think your fucking career is going to be destroyed, if you point at Harvey Weinstein in 2001 or something, people tend to follow the money a little bit too.
Yeah. So I'll stick with that story. We'll see what happens. Something from a few days ago we hadn't gotten into, but so worth talking about. SpaceX has fired at least 5 employees after it found they had drafted and circulated a letter criticizing Elon Musk and urging executives to make the firm's culture more inclusive. This is according to Reuters. The newspaper said CEO Glenn Shotwell's email explained that employees involved with circulating the letter had been fired for making staff feel uncomfortable, intimidated, bullied, angry, pressured to sign something against their views. The SpaceX letter called Musk a distraction and embarrassment to the company, he founded. In a list of 3 demands, it said SpaceX must swiftly and explicitly separate itself from Elon's personal brand, hold all leadership equally accountable to make SpaceX a great place to work for everyone, and define and uniformly respond to all forms of unacceptable behavior.
All forms of unacceptable behavior.
Whatever they may be.
Deemed by this dickweed.
Because
I'll tell you what's hate speech.
Yes,
like
exactly.
that's the new world order.
That's
like,
right.
hey, I'll tell you what's disinformation about COVID. Leave it up to me. Fucking retards.
Well, they're gone now.
Yeah, there's a flaw in who gets to decide what's acceptable or what jokes are funny or what jokes do work or what you can and can't say. That's the problem. And look no further than the folks who want to decide, who want to vet the free speech.
I thought you'd appreciate them doing a little cleaning house.
I love Elon. He's going to make a great 80-year-old. Because he's going to keep going and keep going and keep going, and he's going to be an insane old person, which is going to be fine.
Fun for everybody.
I've been to SpaceX. It's a pretty good place to work. The food was good, nice and clean. The whole thing about when they're building all that shit, it is like an operating room, and not a lot of wrappers on the floor, things like that. People not missing the urinal like they do in other shops.
I bet their mugs are so rinsed.
Everything done right.
Well done.
And so it's his place. It's his shop. How do we get they want his name.
They want him removed from the brand of SpaceX.
How are we going to do that?
I have no idea, considering he founded it. It's currently still his company.
Yeah. All right. Well,
it's basically more about ousting him.
I I love that he's leaning into all this hatred. That's the only way to deal with it. I've said for 1 million times, you can't apologize. You can't take a step back. You just have to lean into it. That's what he's doing.
And about Twitter, which he's in the process of buying, though
he's in charge, right?
Of
Twitter.
Well, but that's the thing. He kept making the threats like, fuck you guys. I don't want anything to do with this.
I don't know where we're at with him and Twitter.
I thought it was still being negotiated.
Well, he said, look, you guys gave me numbers on how many people you have using it. I think a lot of those are bots. Yeah. So until you open up the books and we take a look, I'm not going to pay for something that doesn't exist.
Right. And now
who knows?
And he says he wants to allow outrageous things on Twitter as long as they're not illegal. And, that has the room split.
Well, we have, I don't know, maybe we'll play it in the next show. Max Spatter, remember I told you to pull that clip of me and Drew? It was about 3.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
The problem with Twitter and the problem with like a lot of this stuff and a lot of what they're talking about, we're going to have the Information Bureau and they're going to vet things that are correct and incorrect for the safety. Everything's like for safety. The problem is they get a lot of shit wrong. And I don't know if they get shit wrong intentionally or unintentionally, but I think a lot of it's intentional. And I'll play you this little snippet I was talking to Drew about, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, they just uncovered some of the. Remember a couple of weeks ago, it's been decommissioned, but I think they're going to bring it back. The Information Ministry. Turns out, they had a plan. One of them was they're going after people that had things to say about COVID that didn't exactly jibe with what the standard stuff was.
And what are they going to tell me more about this?
Well, it starts with we need some sort of ministry of truth so that we can make sure that dangerous messages aren't put out, into the universe from the Twitter and Facebook and. We need to monitor this stuff. We can't have misinformation sliding around out there. So we need to put together a group to look at it, and take down dangerous information.
Like Jay Bhattacharya, people like that, the leading epidemiologists in the world.
Well, stuff you have declared dangerous.
Yeah.
To others, it's the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not talking about flat earthers here. We're talking about physicians, clinicians, and experts who are unparalleled in their departments at Stanford and Harvard and Yale who disagree with you.
Yeah.
But you're going to get the misinformation. I mean, think about everything. Let's just say the misinformation ministry had been cobbled together 3 years ago. Okay. So then they would have pointed their arrows at COVID. So if you then said, I don't think paper masks are effective, they would have said misinformation.
Yes.
We'll need to pull you down for that.
Or if you said, I don't think vaccines prevent infection.
Misinformation.
Boom. Done.
And then you would have said, well, okay, they don't prevent infection, but they prevent spreading of it. They would have said that's misinformation too about vaccines. And then you would have said, we're going to need boosters. The first one, the second one. At some point, they would have went, no, that's misinformation.
They would have said booster only lasts 3 months. Misinformation.
Misinformation. Then you would have brought up. You would have brought up natural immunity.
Misinformation.
They would have called that misinformation.
Hybrid immunity. Misinformation.
Then you would have talked about zinc and ivermectin and whatever else you were talking about, the hydroxychloroquine. That would have all fallen under the misinformation label. And then you would have talked about the necessity. You would have questioned the necessity for school closures. That would have been misinformation.
Masking 3-year-olds. Misinformation.
2-year-olds on airplanes.
Yeah.
That you would have questioned that. That would have been misinformation. And you also would question the efficacy versus the dangers of getting your 10-year-old son double vaccinated. And then that would have been misinformation as well.
Yep. Yeah.
So you see how this works?
Yes. This is not how science is done.
No, but it's not how society is done.
Yeah. Misinformation.
Good drag name.
Misinformation. Where did they get that name drag again, Randy? Look, to be
Remind
fair,
us.
he's a UFC fighter, but his first name's Randy.
Yeah.
His last name's Couture.
It's an
so
adjective.
He has a
Couture, please.
a sort of advantage.
Yeah, he's always on the cutting edge of fashion.
All right, let's do one more.
Okay, well, here's a bid to, because we've talked about this on the show many times. We care about fuzzy, adorable, wide-eyed animals. We don't care so much about the scaly, yucky ones. Animals of all types under threat of being endangered or extinct right now, but researchers are urging everyone to care just as much about ugly fish as they do the elegant, colorful ones, the beautiful ones, because the odd and weird-looking
That
ones...
name's for G's V, the ugly
the ugly
fish.
fish.
God
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah.
Scientists have found that the ugliest fish are the most at risk of endangered and extinction, being endangered and extinct, and their disappearance from the ecosystem would make waves for other fish we're more familiar with. So instead of just the clownfish, the angelfish, the ugly ones are going extinct faster because no one really cares about them because
Oh,
they're
the
gross.
poor monkfish.
That's right, the blobfish.
Oh my God.
Catfish are pretty ugly.
Catfish are... They give me shivers.
Sturgeon.
But a lot
Sturgeon.
of sturgeon are mean and ugly, but
Yeah,
a lot of
good
other
caviar.
fish are sort of, swordfish, pretty majestic.
Yeah,
alligator,
very.
marlins,
Absolutely.
Pretty good eating.
Yeah,
Salmon's
delicious.
up there.
Yeah.
shark.
Wait, are we saying that we hunt and fish and eat ugly fish more than we eat
They're saying
attractive fish?
we're not putting the energy and money into saving the ugly
Oh,
fish, like we
yeah.
do the
Sure.
beautiful, the ones that we often see scuba diving at the coral reef or something fabulous.
So, look no further than dolphins. We started with dolphins. I
Right,
know they're
and
not
you know
fish,
how I feel
but
about
mean,
dolphins.
We started and we put all our energy into saving dolphins,
right,
and then
so they can rape more
at
people.
some point, someone started talking about dolphins raping people.
I did.
I feel like there's a less than 30% chance you're ever going to get raped by a dolphin.
But it's
maybe
never
25%. Well, you
It's a
can't,
non-zero chance.
you can't say zero. You're right.
Yeah.
You never say never.
They withhold female dolphins. They withhold them from food and from their families until they get gang banged. These are your little dolphins that you are so beloved for everybody.
Adam spends a lot of time going on the beaches of Malibu.
No,
Yeah.
you better watch yourself, buddy.
They do make their way along the coast there.
Yeah,
Very
they're
majestic.
scouting.
Yeah.
I guess
look,
my
animals are horrible.
answer or question to that isn't the movement to try and save a lot of the coral reefs helping both the pretty fish and the ugly
Hopefully,
fish?
because that shit is bleached white now.
Yeah, and in the global warming or whatever we're calling it, seeing the bleached out reef, that Great Barrier, whatever,
yeah.
that's pretty off-putting.
Yeah.
I will say.
Great Barrier Reef different from the Great Barrier Garbage Patch. You know that the
big
floating,
pile of
Yeah.
ocean plastic
the
that's
size of
flying out there.
Texas.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll clean that shit up. That a-hole in the, God, is it the Kia commercial? You see a Kia commercial, Chris, where that hipster with the beard is out alone on the
Yeah,
beach and he's
raking
hooked up a rake,
putting it behind
hooked
his
a
right
rake onto
eye.
the back
Oh,
of
good.
his Kia.
He's dragging the.
Fuck that
I
guy.
see. Yeah, scientist says it's too big to clean up, but maybe he knows better. This guy.
He's just trying to get a blowjob
Sure.
from some chicks
Dolphin.
walking along the beach. And then also, especially in California, there's nothing you can do on a beach here. Like, they were shutting the beaches down.
Right.
You had to wear your mask on a beach. Get your fucking SUV, hook a rake up to it,
Have
and start
fun.
See how far you get.
Yeah.
going up and down the sand in Malibu. See how long that fucking lasts before a helicopter's on top of you. This guy gets to the beach. Have you seen this one? Oh, you're going to love it. He's just like blowhard guy, shows up at the beach. He's got kind of the hipster beard and the
Yeah.
hipster hair, and
He's pretty.
he's driving alone, doing donuts and Brodies on the beach, in and out, pulling all the recyclables, throwing in the back,
No way this is filmed in California.
sitting
Yeah.
back, satisfied that the turtles are now
they're
making
so
their way
happy
up.
now.
There he is.
All new sported.
Multi-terrain. So you can
Aaron
clean up your
Rodgers'
feet.
gay younger brother.
That's right. That's what he does.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think that they'd gotten to that here.
No, but we need that dude to drive the Kia out into the ocean.
That'd
and
be great.
Clean that
Yeah.
shit
Yeah, if
up.
that's an option, that'd
James
be amazing.
Bond subject aqua car.
You know
Yeah.
that Vinny Tortorich, our buddy, who's kind of our in-house nutritionist, you could say, he's a kayaker now,
Mm-hmm.
and he's told me before he'll bring an empty bag, and while he's kayaking, he'll pick up
Oh,
the
that's
trash.
nice.
That's good
Yes,
on him.
That's
I don't
good.
mind that.
Yeah,
All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
you got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Is it wrong that every commercial that is initially created to tug at the heartstrings of America pisses me off?
Yes.
That I literally go, fuck this guy. Oh, fuck Kia. Come on, give me a fucking
Not
break.
as wrong as it would have been 10, 20 years ago, but that's is still something you should look and run.
Every commercial I see about people, including other people.
Come a
mixed
long way
everything.
since the Indian with the teardrop.
That's
Yeah,
right.
maybe
By
that
the side of the
burned. Maybe
road.
that got seared into me early.
I would love to know Randy's thoughts on we made a big deal out of it a few years ago, the Gillette, was it Gillette toxic masculinity? Because the kids were wrestling in the backyard and the fathers made them stop
Yeah.
because it was toxic.
Yeah, I'm not
your thing?
Not an advocate for toxic masculinity.
I
I
see.
think we need masculinity in this world. It's important.
Of course, we end up with this homo on the beach. This is where we're heading. You want this? You want to get your kid to get run over by a guy in a Kia because he's cleaning up a water bottle?
Hooked with his claws.
That's right, dragged by. And well, the other thing, too, is the thing about a lot of these commercials, like the Gillette toxic masculinity, they go, toxic masculinity. And they'll do like it's the guys on the construction site and the cat calls. And they'll do like 2 or 3 examples where you go, I don't agree with that. And then they'll show 2 7-year-old boys just kind of
Playing.
roughhousing in a backyard at a barbecue, just trying to just sort of wrestle a little bit. And they're like, toxic. It's like, listen, douche. These guys are doing what fucking 7-year-old boys need to do, and also they're on a patch of lawn. The dad's over the barbecue. This couple of 7-year-olds kind of doing what Randy did growing up, just sort of tussling a little bit.
It's not all the same.
It's not all the same.
Yeah, I never understood that because, I'll see my little 6-year-old guy like getting a little crazy and getting a little rough, and that's not my cue to say stop it. That's my cue to say he has extra energy. Let's go burn this. Let's go wrestle. Let's go to the park.
Yeah, we had to take it outside.
Yeah, that's right.
And they were outside. They were just sort of scrapping a little bit.
Yeah.
Some guy busted a beer bottle on the counter and went, do you want some? Like, they're just fucking kids being 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
All right, did we bring it home?
We did.
All right, let's see. I'm going to be in Denver at TOSCon this Thursday, the 23rd. I'll be doing some speaking there, so you can go to objectivestandard.org and get a ticket and say hi. And then doing stand-up and live pods. Comedy Works South, Friday, Saturday, 24th, 25th. So come say hi. Still have a few tickets left for that. Randy's got himself a movie. It's called Blowback, and it's in select theaters and on VOD, and it is now, right? What are we? Yeah. Came out Friday. So check that out and shoot him a tweet at Randy_Couture. Always good to see you, Randy.
Thanks. Great to see you, too.
So, until next time, Adam Carolla for Randy Couture and Gina Grad and Paul Bryan, say it. Mahala.
No, I was in Echo Park.
Oh, boy.
So I had to have
Hold on
it.
a second, Gina. Talk to Adam. Is there a difference between Koreatown and East Hollywood?
Oh, my God. One's Mexican, one's Korean.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. Like,
Is there a difference between having someone throw shit at you or diarrhea? Is the way I would look at that. The answer is some. But I don't know. I don't know what I would.
Technically, but effectively the same.
Yes.